Hollywood's new century. Hey! Look who's back for more adventures. We love having you here to continue this story that keeps us all awake. Important note, all of this is pure fiction. So don't try any techniques you hear here in real life, your neighbor might call the cops. This amazing novel and all its rights belong to the original author. We're just the ones giving it voice and drama. Are you enjoying the show? Prove it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and leaving that like that motivates us so much. And if you want VIP access to exclusive content, our Patreon is waiting with things you won't find anywhere else. Chapter 251 Latin Queen. The result of the Heat's home game against the Nets made Simon unhappy because they lost again. Originally, for the current Eastern and Western Conference teams, the West is strong and the East is weak. It is estimated that the strongest Cavaliers in the East may not even be able to do the fourth and fifth teams in the West. The Nets can't even win against the Heat now, let alone winning the championship, so Simon is of course unhappy. As for the team is mainly newcomers and still needs to be run-in, this reason is not enough, Bob. The strength of the team must be strengthened. In the current situation, it is estimated that it will not be far to enter the playoffs. Simon sat on the sofa in the seaside manor of West Palm Beach and put his arms around Jessica Alba, while on the phone with the team's general manager, Bob Myers. Boss, now our main force is still based on the rookies in the draft. Chauncey Billups is the one with experience and strength. Wade of the Heat is a superstar, and he is also strong after his comeback. Tonight, our players, there's no good restraint on him, Bob Myers explained over the phone. If we want to strengthen our strength as soon as possible, the best way is to trade to a star who is in his prime. This is a problem, Simon understands. After all, the Nets don't even have an all-star level, and Billups can only be a role player. LeBron James, his contract with the Cavaliers should expire for 10 years. Is there a way to bring him to New York? We will also have a new gym in Brooklyn by then. Simon values LeBron James and not what a secret, and, when the time comes, Kevin Love and Russell Westbrook have grown up and will be his right-hand men. As for the head coach Lawrence Frank, it's time to change. Don't renew the contract after the contract expires next year. Now you have to step up the search for the team's head coach. Understood. I have already begun to look for a head coach. As for LeBron James, the Cavaliers will definitely step up the possibility of negotiating with him for a contract extension. If they can't agree, there will be no less teams chasing him. Bob Myers on the other end of the line analyzed, with LeBron James' strength, if he leaves the Cavaliers, he will definitely choose to join a team capable of winning championships. Rest assured, I will fully support you in the back. LeBron James can be the cornerstone of our team building in the future. Of course my team is aiming for the league championship, Simon said, with Jessica Alba in his arms rubbing his body. He commanded, so, you should pay more attention to the transfer market and new players, and also strengthen the construction of scouting, and strive to provide fresh blood for the team. Also, if I guess correctly, the Heat are probably also playing LeBron James' idea. Pat Riley is now the president of the Heat after he retired. He has a lot of prestige. Back then, when he was the head coach, he was able to combine Ollie and Wade helped the Heat win a championship, and it will not be difficult to combine Wade and James in the future, really? Bob Myers is also convinced of Simon's speculation. After all, it is difficult to say whether his own boss Simon has a relationship with the other's boss Mickey Arison. However, if you want to chase LeBron James, the Heat's cards are definitely much better than the Nets. The famous coach Pat Riley and the superstar Dwayne Wade are all attractive. Get ready, the future of New York is not the Knicks, but ours. Simon hung up the phone. Hey, I've been by your side tonight and didn't hear Mr. Arison's infiltration that the Heat are going to chase LeBron James. How did you know? Jessica Alba sat in Simon's arms. After listening to Simon talking on the phone, he asked with some doubts, and, even if the Heat want to chase James, Mickey Arison will not give Simon penetration. Hey, I guessed it. Simon said, holding up the girl's face. Just now at the American Airlines Center, you can see that you are also very popular. After the game, Jessica Alba took a group photo with some players from both teams and was interviewed by reporters. However, your team lost. Those reporters wanted to interview you, and you didn't give them a chance, said Jessica Alba, skillfully reaching out to untie Simon's belt and put her hand in. Simon gave him, then kissed the girl's mouth, and the temperature on the sofa rose straightly. In the following days, while Ivanka went to New York, Jessica Alba returned to Los Angeles, but with Sofia Vergara there, Simon also lingered in Miami. taking several Victoria's Secret supermodels to go on vacation on the private yacht Dream that he had bought before, and so on blue sky, white clouds, sea breeze, beach, sunshine, champagne, supermodel, to name a few. Simon was only going to stay in Miami for a week, but he didn't return to Los Angeles until early December. Are you going to go back tomorrow? In the Manor bathtub, Simon leaned against Sofia Vergara's arms, feeling plump. Sofia asked with a smile, "It's time to go back. Iron Man will be released in the next few days. I have to go back and see." Simon was comfortably arranged by Sofia Vergara these days, but business matters. "Shakira organized a party tomorrow night. You can go to it," Sofia Vergara said, putting her mouth to Simon's ear and blowing, and continued, "There will be supermodels from Latin America with different styles." "Didn't you say that Brazilian supermodels are not bad 2 days ago?" "Well, later," Simon said and shook his head. 2 days ago, Simon brought when the Victoria's Secret supermodel went to sea. There were 2 Brazilian supermodels, Adriana Lima and Alessandra Ambrosio, who were good. Simon thought it was good, so he mentioned it casually. "By the way, Shakira, the Latin queen, seems to have a lot of influence now, especially in Central and South America. There are many Latin immigrants in Miami, and her influence seems to be very large in Miami." Simon has already an entrusting Blackstone Group to acquire the NFL team Miami Dolphins in the future. The fastest way to gain popularity as soon as possible is to rely on the star effect. In a place like Miami, a star with a strong influence among Latinos is a very good partner. Of course, Shakira's current influence in Latin America is extraordinary, and she is also very famous in North America. She is currently the Latin female singer with the most awards and the highest album sales. Sofia Vergara, he responded with a smile. "This influence is enough. Yes, in the near future, I guess I will find her to cooperate in business." The hot Latin queen coupled with the hot football is enough to attract attention? Chapter 252, the premiere of Iron Man. The Christmas season in December, second only to the summer season in June and July every year, has always been one of the focuses of competition among film companies. In addition, the annual Academy Awards ceremony is also held in February of the following year, so of course, in December of the previous year, many special award-winning films will be released. Iron Man, which has been in preparation for several years, is finally about to be released. As the 2 first superhero movies in the Marvel Universe created by Marvel Studios, a subsidiary of Xinhai Entertainment, there are of course a lot of people paying attention without him. After all, as the first series of movies in the Marvel Universe, The Incredible Hulk has already hit the streets, and this Iron Man was funded and produced by Marvel Pictures itself, and its importance is of course self-evident. At the entrance of the Chinese Grand Theater on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, fans were already waiting on the red carpet for the opening of the premiere of Iron Man. The North American premiere of Iron Man was of course grand under the arrangement of Xinhai Pictures. After all, the production fee plus the announced budget was nearly $200 million, and it would not save this money on the global premiere. The film's creators, director Jon Favreau, and lead actors Robert Downey Jr., Kate Beckinsale, Don Chandler and Jeff Bridges all dressed up. "Nervous? Relax," Simon said to Kevin Feige with a smile in the theater's lounge. "I know, I'm just too excited," Kevin Feige smiled. This film can be regarded as the pioneering work of Marvel Studios itself. It has a large investment and a long cycle. Development is critical. At the time of the screening, the audience was very optimistic about the film, and our promotion could keep up, so we must have confidence. Simon knew of course that he was under a lot of pressure, but he still had to maintain confidence. "By the way, there is no problem with overseas distribution, right?" Kevin Feige nodded and explained quickly, "No problem, the European side will follow closely, and it will be released in 1 to 2 weeks. The Asian side will also follow suit, and we have also reviewed the mainland China market, and it will be the same at that time. In Asia, the main markets in East Asia, South Asia, and mainland China need to be reviewed, and the rest of the countries are much simpler and open." "That's good," Simon said and leaned back on his chair. He didn't participate much in the premiere of the movie, unless it was something important or he directly participated. As for the publicity, there are professionals in the business, and if I think of it, I only sometimes provide some opinions. However, there seems to be a lot of other high-level film companies coming over today. Kevin Feige laughed. Marvel is also an influential Marvel company, and there are a lot of film companies concerned about it," Simon said and took a sip of water. "Not to mention the takeover offer from Disney. Warner Brothers has DC Entertainment, and must have attached great importance to us, and Paramount, who almost signed a distribution contract with Marvel before, also wanted to know if the contract was not signed, what was the profit? It's still a loss indeed. Marvel Entertainment has more than 5,000 heroes. If we can develop it well, it is really a treasure trove. Movies, TV, games, toys, clothing, etc. may be our revenue-generating points. Kevin Feige is also yearning. But the premise is that Marvel Pictures can make a name and have enough influence. Okay, don't think about it too much. Movies are the locomotive of entertainment groups, the engine of output influence. Take your time, Simon said, stood up and patted Kevin Feige on the shoulder and smiled. I'm leaving first. The next moment is yours. I believe that Iron Man will be a success. Simon left the China theater before the movie opened, and it's a waste of time to spend 2 hours watching the movie again, isn't it? Simon, who left the China theater, did not go home but came to a private club in Beverly Hills with current owner of the Miami Dolphins, Wayne Whitsenga. Simon, good evening. Wayne Whitsenga greeted Simon into a quiet room and sat down. Thank you. Simon, who was sitting down, said, taking the wine that Wayne Whitsenga poured over. I think when we first met at the cocktail party, you showed interest in NFL teams. I can't believe that now you're actually proposed an acquisition. Wayne Whitsenga really sighed. Simon took a sip of wine, and while playing with a glass, he smiled and said, perhaps, this is God's will. The sale of the team is now handed over to the team for operation. Apart from you, Manhattan real estate tycoon Stephen Rose is also interested in acquiring it. You should also understand. Wayne Whitsenga laughed. It is good to have competition. The competitive price will be high. Of course I know. Simon doesn't care. Wayne Whitsenga owns most of the shares of the Miami Dolphins. Interesting. Blackstone Group, to make the acquisition, also hopes that they can get those small shareholders. Simon wants to own more shares of the team. The Miami Dolphins had an agreement with the Miami city government, and the team could not sign to other cities. Wayne Whitsenga began to make some demands. Alan Horn, president of Warner Brothers Pictures, was also sitting in his office on the night of the world premiere of Iron Man in Los Angeles. Jeff, what do you think of Marvel's Iron Man? Alan Horn asked his deputy. It's hard to say. I didn't like this movie originally. The director is not well known. The starring Robert Downey Jr. is still an addict, and the heroine Kate Beckinsale can only be regarded as reluctance at present. The Incredible Hulk, produced by Marvel Studios, just failed during the period, and now it's just a change from Universal Pictures to Xinghai Pictures, the deputy Jeff analyzed. But based on the past achievements of Xinghai Entertainment's Simon Pike, I can't say for sure. After all, Simon Pike almost never misses the choice of movies, especially such large-scale investment movies. Well, I'm not sure either, and Xinghai Pictures operates exactly on the basis of creating hit movies. Alan Horn was originally a believer in hit movies, and Marvel Entertainment and DC Entertainment, directly competitors, can't help but pay attention this Christmas period. We also rescheduled Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince to next summer's release. The financial tsunami has caused the company to doubt people's consumption. Alan Horn was also helpless. Warner Brothers first this year withdrew from the HD DVD alliance, and then merged with New Line Cinema the Harry Potter series, as the trump card of Warner Brothers Pictures, in order to maximize the box office explosion. It is also the intention of the group's executives to extend the file until next summer. Forget it. New Line Cinema has also reconciled with Peter Jackson. We must pay attention to the Hobbit series. Now the headache is MGM, which has overseas distribution rights, and they still have funds to support the Hobbit People series? Alan Horn said with a sigh. Alice, although the box office of Quantum of Solace and 007 is very good, because of this year's financial tsunami and MGM's severe losses, they can't come up with funds. The deputy also responded helplessly. Chapter 253. Iron Man opened in 3,500 theaters in North America and made $92 million at the box office in its first week plus previous openings. The technology in Iron Man may be beyond reality, but inside the body of this horsepower-enhancing action robot, there is a very human heart beating. MSNBC. Also a pure and great escape from reality. Chicago Sun-Times. Everything the audience wants to see in a superhero movie, Iron Man is probably as much. Empire. The film is flawless, and in all respects it is strictly around the standards of a blockbuster. Toronto Star. The acclaim from newspapers and film critics made Iron Man so popular that it was released in more than 4,100 theaters the following week. In this way, Iron Man, which has been badly viewed by countless people, exploded. The impact of the financial tsunami is at a serious juncture. Many companies' blockbuster films either reduce investment costs or delay the release of films that have already been filmed because of Simon's huge profits on Wall Street. Xinghai Entertainment went upstream and spent huge sums of money on publicity, acquiring United Theatre and Peak Entertainment's self-organized distribution network. All in all, this time it has been greatly rewarded. Disney has raised the level of the acquisition of Xinghai Pictures. The current owner of Toy Biz, Isaac Perlmutter, regretted dropping several cups and vases in a row. Why did he sell Marvel to Simon Pike in the first place? Obviously he was already preparing for Iron Man. Several large Hollywood studios have also really paid attention to this extremely fast-growing Xinghai Entertainment. It is not like Relativity Media, Legendary Pictures, which mainly invests in film funds, nor is it like Lionsgate, Miramax. Weinstein Films focuses on independent distributors such as Independent Literary Films. It is developed along the lines of large film groups, commercial blockbusters, independent literary films and genre films, and even a comprehensive entertainment group for TV, variety shows, and talk shows. The cakes in the movie market are so big, and some people eat too much, and some people eat less. Compared with the deep-rooted 6 major film companies with a long history, the young Xinghai Films faces more and more difficulties. Burbank, the headquarters of Xinghai Entertainment, since the completion of the construction of the main triangular building, the relocation of the headquarters has been completed in Simon's office. Nina Jacobson is talking about the popularity of Iron Man with excitement. We actually didn't expect that Iron Man would be so popular. After all, The Incredible Hulk released in the summer has a much higher configuration, whether it is a director or an actor. It seems that her popcorn style, the production routine, which is mainly based on special effects and scenes, can really bring out the potential of Marvel. Nina Jacobson couldn't help but be excited. Marvel is a huge series, and Thor has also been filmed. It's over, and it's coming out next year. This type of movie should be positioned as a special effects blockbuster for family fun. There is no need to add too many in-depth plots, and we are building the Marvel universe. Just pay attention to the linkage between the movies, Simon said without pain. It's not itchy to say, after all, this kind of superhero movie wants to be made into meaningful like Christopher Nolan's Batman, and the requirements for the director and screenwriter are too high. Universal Pictures failed to make The Incredible Hulk. A large part of the reason was that they added too many philosophical private goods. The audience was unhappy with it, and it definitely won't work. Haha. I understand that our current positioning for Marvel is to make the audience feel thrilling and refreshing while watching the movie. Nina Jacobson certainly agreed. Kevin also means this. In this way, the general model of the plot can be determined, and the requirements for directors and actors in all aspects are much lower. The roles are bound to the actors and linked. Wait for Thor to be released next year, Iron Man 2 and Captain America 1. The Avengers Pioneer will continue to be released the year after, and then the final masterpiece Avengers 1 can be led to the first stage. Simon: now I can finally breathe a sigh of relief. Marvel is on the right track, and it will be basically invincible for more than 10 years. Not only Marvel Pictures, but also Xinghai Pictures and its subsidiary Venus Pictures and Aurora Pictures will have their movies released next year, and this year we still have One Life and Death to be released, Nina Jacobson said. I am very satisfied with the rapid development of Xinghai Entertainment. Commercial films, literary films and genre films have not fallen by the way. The Indian movie Slumdog Millionaire released by Venus Pictures has a very good reputation. Since its release more than 20 days ago, the number of theaters has increased from 60 to 400. As the word of mouth continues to ferment, there will be more and more audiences entering the theater. Also, Paramount and Warner Brothers have discussed with us the promotion of The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, which will be screened globally in Los Angeles on Christmas Day on 12/25. They hope you can attend. Simon: after all, Benjamin Button The Curious Case of Barton is produced by our Xinghai Pictures. Simon: you are the producer? Simon nodded. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button is a collaboration between 3 companies. Xinghai Pictures is responsible for the production, Paramount and Warner Brothers are responsible for North American and overseas distribution, and he is one of the leaders of the project. It will definitely take some time for the release. Attended. As for the movie Slumdog Millionaire, Simon didn't pay much attention to it. After all, this kind of niche movie does not have the support of stars and special effects. It is impossible to have much resource tilt in the distribution. Basically, it can only rely on the movie itself. The word of mouth to ferment and attract people belongs to the situation of long-term flow. After Nina Jacobson left, Laura Collins brought the company's ledger to herself. At first glance, it is no wonder that movie distribution is a pit, and there is no money to play. The cost of independent distribution is really high, and the cost of promotion is a real dollar thrown away next year. We have a lot of movies to show. This budget is really. Simon turned over the budget table for next year. Fortunately, he injected funds this year, and the income from previous movies has also been received. Well, boss, Ms. Jacobson also said that there are many projects started this year, and with the new projects to be launched next year, our Xinghai Entertainment is developing very fast now. Laura Collins smiled. It seemed don't worry about funding at all, and continued, the main reason is that most of our films are high box office, and also perform very well at the Oscars, and many banks and investment funds are willing to provide funds. It's really fast. I believe that when our movies are released one after another next year, the brand of Xinghai Pictures will definitely be in full swing. Simon has already invested a lot of money. Once. Chapter 254. Is it safe enough? On December 10th, when Iron Man was happily harvesting the box office, the Madoff fraud case that caused a sensation in the world finally broke out. Madoff Bernard, 70, confessed to two of the company's employees that the investment advisory business was a pyramid scheme. Moreover, the two senior staff are Madoff's two sons. Madoff's two sons referred the significant incident to attorneys, who notified federal authorities that night. When investigators arrived at Madoff's residence the next day, Madoff, aware of the FBI investigators' intentions, admitted to paying investors with non-existent money, saying he was bankrupt and ready to stand trial. The Madoff fund involved in capital losses of almost $50 billion. The large Spanish financial giant Santander, HSBC, UBP and other banks, BNP Paribas, RB Nomura, Royal Bank of Scotland and other financial institutions did not. Say in addition to financial institutions, a number of celebrities also made the list of victims, including New York Mets baseball team owner Fred Wilpon, General Motors financial institution GMAC director J. Ezra Merkin, former American football Philadelphia Eagles owner Norman Brahman, as well as some Wall Street and Hollywood stars and investors around the world. There are also government officials, such as U.S. Senator Frank Lautenberg from New Jersey. Jewish schools and charities suffered the most from the turmoil since the outbreak of the subprime mortgage crisis triggered a global financial tsunami. People who jumped from Wall Street have not stopped. Now the world's largest financial fraud case has been revealed, and the number of people who jumped down from the top of Wall Street and swallowed guns in bedrooms has ushered in another peak in Beverly Hills. Simon put down the newspaper in his hand, stood up and walked to the huge floor-to-ceiling window of the room, overlooking the Sunset Boulevard below the mountain. Within a week of Bernard Madoff being taken away by the Bureau of Investigation, several fund managers and financial investors with a net worth of over $100 million have committed suicide. Simon suddenly felt that the United States is not so safe now. Now there is an army of unemployed people, the economic situation is sluggish, and even a wealthy area such as Beverly Hills has recently discovered several thefts. While thinking about it, the butler came in and reported, "Sir, Ms. Nicole Kidman's car has arrived at the door." Simon turned his head and nodded. Today was the day of the North American premiere of The Curious Case of Benjamin Button at the Man Country Theater in the Westwood area of Los Angeles. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button had its world premiere on XN in Australia last week, and today is the day of its grand North American premiere. Paramount's full release date is 12/25 on Christmas Day. Out of the manor, Nicole Kidman dressed up and stood beside the car, smiling and getting into the luxurious nanny car with Simon. "Hey, I heard that you don't go to the company very much recently. Is it because the media is paying too much attention to you now?" Nicole Kidman said, took a bottle of wine from the shelf next to it and poured it 2 cups. "There are a lot of reporters, not only in the entertainment industry, but also many sports reporters and financial reporters," Simon said while taking a sip of wine. Recently, due to the emergence of the Madoff fund fraud case, and his relationship with Stephen Ross's competition for the Miami Dolphins, his attention has indeed risen again. Originally this year, the short selling in the financial tsunami and the huge profits in the oil futures market attracted countless attention, but staying in a foreign country for several months is a bit cleaner. Now, Alice, this year, you. Nicole Kidman smiled. "How should I put it? The money earned in 1 year is enough to scare people to death. Forget it, just wait until this period of time is over." Now that Mario has been elected as the new president of the United States, after taking the oath of office next year, we will start to deal with this issue, Simon said. "It doesn't matter. It's quiet enough and safe enough over there, and now the bodyguards of my own brigade all feel a little unsafe. You'll enjoy it. This modified Mercedes-Benz van is not bad." Simon changed the subject. "I would have enjoyed it, Nicole Kidman leaned back in the chair and gave Simon a white glance while drinking. Compared to you, it's far worse. Nicole Kidman is not bad for money, but she doesn't dare to compare with Simon. Australia's Chaos was first released in Australia at the end of last month, followed by North America and Europe. The current box office and word of mouth seem to be unsatisfactory. Nicole Kidman is really at the bottom of the valley. Last year's Golden Gold Compass hit the street, and unexpectedly, the large-scale epic war romance Australian Chaos, which had high hopes, did not regain a single city. It has been on the street for several years in a row, and there is really no script invitation at present. Simon smiled and said calmly, "Isn't the sunshine cleaning produced by the public has a good reputation? Did you feel nothing after the filming of Weakness? Sunshine Wash is not bad, and those two actresses are not bad, Amy Adams and Emily Blunt," Nicole Kidman said, thinking of something, with a smirk on his face. "By the way, Emily Blunt seems to know you very well. In terms of Weakness, I thought it was very good after watching the rough-cut version. It is a very touching and inspiring film. Now it can still resonate with audiences suffering from the economic crisis." Nicole Kidman joined the industry after so many years. "The movies are still good and bad. Take a break. At least wait for Weakness to be released. You have failed several major productions in a row now, and so is the capital profit-seeking. You have to restore your reputation first." Simon also has no good opinion. Wait for the audience to forget." Understood. "I also understand that there is nothing to do at the moment, so prepare to invest in 1 or 2 more independent films." Nicole Kidman is not very flustered at the moment. After all, she now has the top backer of Xinghai Entertainment. Simon Parker's vision is security. However, in the current situation, Nicole Kidman is also helpless. "The failure of one movie after another is too hurt. This time I went to the North American premiere of The Curious Case of Benjamin Button at the invitation of my good friend Cate Blanchett. Moreover, before the Australian premiere of The Curious Case of Benjamin Button on XN, he was no longer there, but was promoting his Australian Chaos in Europe." The Westwood community is surrounded by Beverly Hills and the University of California, Los Angeles. There are several old theaters that are often used as the premiere venues for various movies. The Mam Village Theater and the Bruin Theater have a long history. Historic theater. After the car arrived at the gate of the lively theater, the waiting reporters and media quickly surrounded them. Chapter 255. Although The Curious Case of Benjamin Button is produced by Xinghai Pictures, the North American distributor is Paramount. After all, most of the films of the current film distribution company are developed by other film production companies, and they can hold the film distribution rights. The same is true for many of the films that Xinghai Pictures will release next year, many of which are developed by independent film production companies, and distributed by Xinghai Pictures. Of course, they will be called joint productions on the red carpet. Brad Pitt and his wife Angelina Jolie are being interviewed by a large number of reporters and media, and Nicole Kidman and Cate Blanchett are attracting the spotlight, and the atmosphere is not lively. Weird. Simon was chatting with Adam Goodman, Chief Operating Officer of Paramount Pictures, in the lounge of the Man Village Theater. Without DreamWorks, Paramount doesn't seem to have to worry about the box office anymore. Simon smiled. Paramount and DreamWorks broke up in October, and Adam Goodman in front of him was originally DreamWorks Pictures. The president, who did not leave with new DreamWorks, stayed and became a top executive of Paramount Pictures. The distribution rights of DreamWorks Animation are still on Paramount's side. The North American box office of Raiders of the Lost Ark 4, Crystal Bones, released in the summer, is also very popular, so the breakup of Paramount and DreamWorks is also very peaceful, Adam Goodman said, but looked at Simon and smiled. Unfortunately, Iron Man should have been published by Paramount. Iron Man has been released for half a month, and the North American box office has reached nearly $200 million. The fat has slipped away. Not only Brad Grey, CEO of Paramount Pictures, is not happy, but even Summer Redstone, the behind-the-scenes boss of Viacom Group, which has been taking Paramount Pictures seriously lately, is not feeling well either. Don't worry, didn't you also leave the big killer Transformers series? It's just a joint production by DreamWorks, and the distribution rights are still in the hands of Paramount. Of course, Simon will not talk to Paramount about Marvel again. Film releases, that's what Isaac Perlmutter was talking to you about, and that guy's gone to Miami and became a millionaire. Paramount's distribution network is enough to help the films produced by Xinghai Pictures to be released all over the world as soon as possible. Is there really no chance for cooperation? Adam Goodman certainly didn't give up, Not to mention the films produced by Marvel Pictures, Xinghai and the other movies produced by the industry are also very good. Of course there are opportunities for cooperation, but it depends on what movie it is. Now Xinghai Pictures has spent a lot of money to set up a distribution network, and it needs some good movies to stabilize the network, Simon said calmly. However, it is now common for film companies to jointly produce and distribute films. Of course, Xinghai Films will also have this demand as in 2012 produced and distributed by Xinghai Pictures and Sony Pictures together. Adam Goodman could only smile helplessly, helpless. For people like Simon Pike who do things with their own funds, there is really nothing to do, and this guy is really too profitable. Okay, it's time for us to go out to the press conference of The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. You are also the production director. Now, for the blockbusters produced by Xinghai Pictures, I think all filmmakers will value them, Adam Good said. Ma'am said with a smile, and stood up as a small compliment. Simon sorted out a tailored Armani suit and left the lounge to go to the media hall. Brad Pitt and Cate Blanchett are of course seated in the middle of the front desk, with director David Fincher and producer Simon Pike sitting on either side. It is indeed a strong creative team. The script is adapted from the novel of a famous writer, the top billionaire young producer, the personality director David Fincher, and the Hollywood superstar Brad Pitt, even if the influence is less. Cate Blanchett is also an Oscar, Golden Globe and other Best Actress nominated actress. Pete, everyone is very interested in your old age appearance. Can you talk about it? The reporter asked. Well, my old age appearance is using the latest 3D modeling technology. Brad Pitt talked about technology, makeup, special effects and feelings. In this case, the focus of the reporters was of course on the big stars, and Simon happened to be sitting next to Cate Blanchett and answered a few questions. By the way, Simon, may Xinghai Films now have the experience and capital to independently produce commercial blockbusters, and the competition with other film companies will also increase in the future. What are you prepared for? A reporter suddenly asked. That's a good question, although in this case the host should have asked some movie-related questions. Of course, there is basically no integrity of the reporters. Besides, Xinghai Pictures was originally the producer of The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Cate Blanchett next to him turned his head and smiled, and deliberately placed the microphone in front of Simon for Simon. Simon smiled casually. Competition is not just in Hollywood, but in all industries. With this valuable experience, Xinghai Pictures can develop more and better movies in the future. However, compared to Paramount, a Hollywood film studio with a history of nearly a century, we still have insufficient background and there are many places to learn. We are also catching up, learning and cooperating. Simon, then do you think Xinghai Pictures will be able to? Will the rapid expansion of Xinghai Pictures lead to insufficient capital chain? As more and more messy questions came in, Simon Pike gave the host a wink, and the host hurriedly brought the topic back to the movie. Members of the media friends, today is mainly the premiere press conference of The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Mr. Simon Parker hopes that you will ask more questions about the film. After the Bourne press conference, it was finally time for the movie to sit with Simon and Nicole Kidman as guests in the dimly lit theater. 2.5 hours of The Curious Case of Benjamin Button was playing on a huge screen. Sure enough, the story is quite novel, and the life is reversed. Nicole Kidman felt that the movie was really good. Brad Pitt's performance is also commendable. Oh, in terms of handsomeness, he may not be able to compare to Tom Cruise, but in terms of acting skills, Tom Cruise is indeed inferior to Brad Pitt, Simon said casually. However, now Tom Cruise is a commercial action star in my heart. Nicole Kidman reached out and patted Simon's leg and said with a smile, "You are very optimistic about Brad Pitt." Nicole Kidman didn't want to talk about Tom Cruise, so she turned to Brad Pitt. It's okay. Although the box office appeal is a little worse, but is it still a superstar? And the acting is not bad, Simon said with a smile. Chapter 256 Sports Section. The North American premiere of The Curious Case of Benjamin Button was a success, with critics, journalists and the vast majority of the audience giving it high marks. Then director David Fincher will take Brad Pitt and Cate Blanchett to Europe for promotion, and the film's release day in several European countries will be 1 to 3 days earlier than North America. After all, the full North American release of The Curious Case of Benjamin Button is Christmas Day, 12.25. The end of 2008 is finally the advent of thrills, and the economic downturn has made Bush Jr.'s last year subject to countless scoldings. However, it has nothing to do with Simon. The way Hollywood welcomes Christmas is still countless cocktail parties, incense cars, beautiful women, yachts and private jets. How can Simon care about the lives of others? Emily Blunt comes out of the bathroom at Simon's large hilltop villa in Santa Barbara, California ready to spend Christmas here? Don't you live in Beverly Hills, Los Angeles most of the time? Emily Blunt was recently promoting her new movie Child of Your Suspect and came to Santa Barbara to accompany Simon. Yes, after all, he also has a villain nearby. Simon Pike looked at Emily Blunt, who had just changed into a silky translucent sexy nightgown from the shower, with a hint of laziness on her pretty face. He smiled casually. There are too many things bothering me in Los Angeles recently. I came here to be quiet, and Santa Barbara is much quieter. I've heard a lot of failed investments by Hollywood stars in the past few days. Did the Madoff fund really deceive more than $50 billion? Emily Blunt asked curiously. After all, this is a big news at the moment. A lot of people in the entertainment industry are involved. Simon pulled the girl over and let the girl sit in his arms, a fragrance wafting in his nostrils, and responded, almost, but that guy has lied to the world for so many years, no matter what the result is, it's enough. Well, after all, people have lived a rich life for so many years, and they are almost at the age of entering the soil. Because of the financial tsunami, they can't hide it. Emily Blunt straddled Simon, put his arms around Simon's neck, and kissed him actively. Well, after responding to the girl's hot kiss, Simon took a breath and smiled. Is it stimulated? Emily Blunt pressed against Simon's body tightly, and while provoking, put her mouth in Simon's ear and said, I'm going back to London for Christmas, and I can't accompany you. Emily Blunt actually wanted to be with Simon. After all, Simon didn't have any relatives and didn't seem to like Christmas very much. Christmas, I really don't like it very much. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button was only fully released that day, and last week, the last film Life and Death released by Xinghai Pictures this year was also released in North America. It's over. Simon said while feeling the tenderness of the girl. Actually, I don't have anything important, but I'm currently acquiring Wayne Witsenga's NFL team, the Miami Dolphins. It is estimated that more discussions with the acquisition team will be required. Well, then do you want to go to London for vacation with me? Emily Blunt said, suddenly thinking of something and reminding, aren't you interested in football, especially Premier League teams? Well, Premier League, I'm interested. Nothing happened in Premier League, right? Simon said, putting his hands on the girl's waist. And then the two of them gasped. Emily Blunt hugged Simon's shoulders tightly and said intermittently, Manchester City was acquired by the Abu Dhabi Consortium in the Middle East from Thailand's Thaksin this year. Manchester City, the Abu Dhabi Consortium, the Mansah family? Simon quickly remembered this matter, not Emily Blunt's reminder, and forgot in recent years, many teams in the Premier League have been acquired. Chelsea has not only pioneered gold-dollar football, but also a stepping stone for foreign capital to enter the Premier League. Manchester City, Thaksin just acquired the Manchester City team last year, and this year it was packaged by the rich countries in the Middle East. Compared with the NFL, Simon of course prefers to own a Premier League team. Although the NFL team has a higher market value, after all, only Yankees like this sport, because the depression market in the United States is the largest, but football is the world's largest sport, of course, has a much greater influence. But I really haven't had time recently, my dear. I don't have time to go to London recently, but after I successfully acquire the Miami Dolphins, I must acquire a Premier League club. After the wind and rain stopped, Simon whispered to the girl in his arms. Emily Blunt lost her strength and said feebly, okay, let's take care of your affairs first. When it's time to go to England, I'll accompany you. By the way, The Wolfman filmed by Universal Pictures, have you joined the group yet? Simon asked with his arms around the girl's shoulders. After all, Universal Pictures has a lot of monster horror movie IPs. Fortunately, the restart of The Mummy 3 had failed, as did the blockbuster Van Helsing a few years ago. No, I heard that it has been in preparation for several years. Universal Pictures originally arranged for the release in 2007, and then the director left, and it was scheduled to be released in February next year. Unfortunately, their project production has been reduced this year, and now I heard again. They're going to have a release in November next year, Emily Blunt said with a smile. Anyway, I haven't received the official notice of joining the group, but I heard that the preliminary preparations have been completed, the script has been changed, and the budget has been reduced, but I don't have many scenes. After all, Universal Pictures remakes him this time in our old movie Wolfman many years ago. There were not many roles for the heroine. Hey, in the past, Xinghai Pictures couldn't raise its head in front of these six majors, not only because of the lack of background and various resources, but also because they didn't have as many series IPs, Simon said and exhaled. It's different now. My Iron Man was a success, and the preparations for Iron Man 2 have already begun, and the huge Marvel Entertainment is backing it, and the commercial series IP, Xinghai Pictures also has it. Honey, congratulations, now you're one step closer to your ideal, Emily Blunt said, raising her head and kissing Simon's face. Looking at the girl's ruddy face, Simon stroked the girl's face and said with a wicked smile, "Look, it's back." He pointed at little Simon, who stood up. Emily Blunt reached out and rubbed her hand, then bowed her head as the cash milk of various film studios. Serial films are also the core assets for film companies to maintain their competitiveness for a long time. Paying attention to series IP is the penetration of Hollywood. And Xinghai Pictures must not fall behind in this step. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 257. Then I'm leaving. I'll be in the UK for a few months next year. Emily Blunt said and entered the airport waiting room. Los Angeles International Airport is located on the outskirts of Inglewood on the west side of Los Angeles. As one of the municipalities of Los Angeles, Inglewood has a small population but a good location, only 8 miles from the Pacific Ocean. Go back to the company, Simon said to the driver as he got into the car from Santa Barbara along the Pacific Coast Highway to the airport. It's now direct to Star Entertainment headquarters in Burbank via Carver City via Hollywood base. Leaning on the car, Simon looked out the window at the Los Angeles street scene. The bustling entertainment capital of the past was still affected by the financial tsunami. The flow of people in luxury stores has decreased, but the number of homeless people in urban areas has increased, and there will be individuals holding signs to protest from time to time. The car passed West Hollywood and went straight along Sunset Boulevard. When passing through the Hollywood base, the famous Avenue of Fame that used to be full of people was obviously bleak at the beginning of this year, let alone the entire United States. There have been countless strikes in Los Angeles: the Hollywood screenwriters strike, the West Coast dock workers strike, the Los Angeles teachers strike, the Boeing machinery factory strike, etc., are all large-scale strikes with more than 20,000 people. However, compared to the Hollywood writers' strike that lasted for several months, the rest of the impact was much smaller. California, as the richest state in the United States, voted to remove the governor in 2003 because of the high budget deficit, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, a Hollywood tough guy, was elected governor and was successfully re-elected. However, with the passage of time, California's finances have not turned around, and the fiscal deficit has further expanded. Coupled with this year's housing credit crisis, California's finances have worsened. Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger announced at the beginning of the month, California has entered a fiscal emergency bill, and California is entering the abyss. 5 years after taking over as governor, California's budget deficit has doubled from $12 billion to $42 billion. The high approval rate when he was elected now seems more like a mockery. Arnold Schwarzenegger is a beloved action star, but his political failure is undeniable. Jack, what's the matter with the rally in the small square in front? Simon asked his driver, looking at a group of people holding banners not far away. Oh, sir, congratulations to the cabinet team submitted by the new President Mario's administration. The Democratic Party's Ms. Hillary has been nominated as the new Secretary of State. Congress has agreed, and it will wait until next year and the new president to be sworn in, driver Jack said. Let's talk about it. After all, Mario is the first black president of the United States, and the big killer of universal medical insurance is too attractive to the black bottom layer of the United States. Simon nodded, still a little unhappy about Hillary becoming Secretary of State. Shouldn't Hillary be embarrassed because of the Harvey Weinstein scandal? On the politicians who have the deepest contacts with Hollywood, except for the previous President Reagan, this woman is. However, the filth of the political circle is no less than that of the entertainment circle. Of course, the political resources of the Clinton family are also profound. Such a small incident is indeed irrelevant in order to reduce the resistance of the white people. The Mario administration also used Hillary Clinton, who competed with him for votes, as a high-level Secretary of State at the headquarters of Xinghai Pictures. The famous black movie star Will Smith and his agent are discussing the preparations of Superman Hancock with Xinghai Pictures in a small conference room. Sonia, what's going on with Weinstein Pictures now? After all, it is also the current old rival of Xinghai Pictures, so of course Simon should be concerned about it. Most of their resources at the moment are focused on the musical 9, a $90 million musical, Weinstein Pictures seems confident, responded Sonia Roman. Fortunately, most of Weinstein's other films are at a loss, and the artistry has not achieved much. It turns out that, I believe that soon, Weinstein Pictures will not be a threat enough. Simon's eyes are deep, and the person in charge is riddled with scandals. The current profit point of Weinstein Pictures is nothing more than the genre films of its demon pictures, but that is definitely not enough to make up for the losses of many literary and artistic films every year. Moreover, movies like Life and Death, which should have belonged to Weinstein Pictures, were also taken away by Simon in advance. Of course it's not a threat, and now our Marvel movie box office is almost more than theirs in a year, Sonia Roman said excitedly. Harvey has been immersed in Hollywood for many years and has a deep network of connections. Although his reputation has been damaged this time, I believe he can't move his muscles. As long as he still has value, there will be capital behind him. Simon leaned on the chair, the fingers tapped the table and continued to speak. However, now he's no longer at the same level as us. After this time, most of his political resources have almost been cut off, so now we don't have to care about him. Now I hear that GE intends to sell NBC Universal? Simon asked after changing the conversation. NBC Universal, I heard that Doncaster Group intends to enter the film and television industry. As a cable TV operator, they hope to have their own content industry. After all, they have controlled MGM with Sony before, but with MGM the current situation, there is this possibility. Sonia Roman analyzed, the specific information is not clear. After all, I don't know where Simon heard it. General Electric's development has been getting worse and worse in recent years, and the sale of NBC Universal has also. It is indeed reasonable, but I am also optimistic about NBC Universal and want to control it, Simon said seriously. If the NBC Universal Group is acquired by Doncaster, then we will have no chance. This kind of large-scale merger is very long, so I need you to keep an eye on this area. Moreover, the Vivendi Group also owns 20% of NBC Universal. If GE wants to sell NBC Universal, it must first take back the 20% stake in Vivendi. Simon, the valuation of NBC Universal Group is almost more than $30 billion. You really want to? Although Sonia Roman knew that Simon was interested in this company, Simon is still very excited to say it in person. It's not so easy for Doncaster to acquire NBC Universal. TV network operators are involved in the TV and movie content manufacturing industry, and there are many problems to deal with. Simon's eyes flashed at that time. We will contact Vivendi first, and see if we can get the 20% equity first. Understood, but even if we acquire the 20% stake in Vivendi, NBC Universal will still be in charge of General Electric. Are you going to compete with Doncaster then? Sonia Roman couldn't tell how she felt, talking to Tang how much this cost to compete with GE's NBC Universal. Get ready first, after all, there is no official news. Pay attention first, and then contact Vivendi Group. Chapter 258 IMAX Corporation. As one of Simon's most trusted people, Sonia Roman is not surprised to know some of Simon's future plans. NBC Universal is indeed an important part of Xinghai Entertainment regardless of whether the Doncaster Group has this idea at present. It is a fact that the Doncaster Group wants to enter the production of film content. The largest cable television and network operator in North America has such rich resources. Since Sonia Roman understands the future group's policy, she must keep an eye on both NBC Universal and Doncaster Group. After Sonia Roman left, assistant Laura Collins came in and asked, "Are we working with Sony Columbia or 20th Century Fox on the project of Hancock for All? 20th Century Fox, are you willing to give us the role of Deadpool?" Simon asked. Laura Collins shook her head and said helplessly, "I've contacted it. 20th Century Fox's X-Men series prequel Wolverine will be released next year. Deadpool will also appear in the movie, and the actor is Ryan Reynolds, who is also the lead actor in Fake Marriage in our comedy movie coming out next year." It seems that 20th Century Fox seems to be unwilling to give up any roles. Now our Marvel characters are still out there, including Spider-Man series and X-Men series, not to mention Punisher, Blade Fighter, Humanoid, Daredevil. Also it's still in the hands of other film companies. Simon also gave up, since 20th Century Fox refused to hand it over. Forget it. Others that are expected to be recovered, let Kevin Feige do their best to recover them. The copyright authorization will expire in a few years. As for Superman Hancock, let Nina be in charge. With Will Smith involved, it shouldn't be a big problem, plus the heroine is Charlize Theron. It's not difficult to find a partner. If a better partner contributes capital, we will cooperate directly. If not, continue to cooperate with Sony. After all, There are a lot of movies to be released in Xinghai next year, and the publicity needs a lot of money. In addition to the projects to be developed, investors, banks, funds, and film investment companies will definitely need to use the funds. According to the company's idea, it is planned to let Will Smith participate as a producer at the same time, and the schedule is scheduled for next summer. Can you? Laura Collins asked again. Simon nodded. Laura Collins was just about to go out. Simon stopped her and said, "Find a chance to get in touch with Will Smith and ask him if he is interested in NBA teams. I want him to be a partner of the Nets." Okay. The Nets will move to Brooklyn, New York in the next year. Brooklyn was originally one of the black communities. Although the proportion of blacks has dropped a lot in recent years, it is still the main group in Brooklyn at that time. The Nets will compete with the Knicks for audiences in New York, and the support of local audiences in Brooklyn, where the team is located, is of course important. Having Will Smith, an influential black superstar partner, will certainly help a lot in the promotion of the Nets. Moreover, Simon was actually going to work with a black American rap superstar Jay-Z at first, but later found out that Will Smith was also a famous singer before acting, and also won the Grammy Award for Best Rap Performance. Will Smith, who has a lot of influence in music and movies, has of course become Simon's first choice in the evening, at a coffee shop on Ventura Avenue near the headquarters of Xinghai Entertainment. Simon was discussing cooperation with IMAX CEO Richard Gere. United Cinemas has cooperated with our IMAX company to build 20 IMAX theaters, which requires us to reduce costs as soon as possible technically. We are also working hard. Because of the high construction cost of IMAX theaters, there must be enough IMAX 3D film sources to support them. Okay, said Richard Gere. In 2012 a 3D version? Xinghai Entertainment has always supported IMAX technology. Nearly half of the theaters under the United Cinemas originally had giant screen halls. Now we continue to cooperate with you to build IMAX theaters. You also need to increase lobbying efforts and sign 3D movie contracts with more film studios. Xinghai alone is not enough. Simon certainly values IMAX theaters a little bit. After all, next year is the release time of James Cameron's Avatar. IMAX theaters will usher in a huge promotion opportunity. Although IMAX has been listed on Nasdaq for a long time, the high cost of giant screen theaters and the lack of film sources have always been a constraint until the current development of IMAX technology. The cost of technology has been reduced, and the high ticket price and high experience of IMAX theaters have resulted in more commercial IMAX theaters. However, there are not many. Nearly 200 of the nearly 400 IMAX theaters in the world belong to science and technology education museums, and there are more than 200 purely commercial IMAX theaters, 60% of which are concentrated in North America. And Xinghai Entertainment has about 20 joint theater chains, and now there are 20 more to be built, so the support is not too big. Therefore, Simon Parker deliberately asked United Cinemas to acquire the shares of IMAX Company. Currently, he owns about 25% of the shares of IMAX Company, and the management is still IMAX Company itself. The cooperation between IMAX and United Cinemas has also enabled the IMAX cinemas established by IMAX to develop better. Whether it is self-built or through investment and cooperation, IMAX's goal is to have more IMAX cinemas. Now the development of IMAX theaters still has to start from the content. Theaters need movies to achieve profitability. We have been seeking establishing cooperative relations with various Hollywood film companies. This aspect also needs the help of Xinghai Films, Richard Gere said. After all, United Cinemas is now the major shareholder of IMAX, and Xinghai should vigorously invest in its own subsidiaries. Support is not. Simon smiled and said, "Don't worry, I will let Xinghai Pictures and IMAX sign a contract for 3 IMAX 3D movies. And I will guarantee 1 IMAX 3D movie every year from next year." Riding on next year's spring breeze of James Cameron, the tech-mad Avatar, IMAX's stock price will rise. That's great. Now the movies produced by Xinghai Pictures are very good, and it is very helpful for the promotion of IMAX. Richard Gere is of course happy. Although IMAX is good, there are not many people who pay attention to it. After all, the high cost is enough to deter movie theater investors. With the dual support of Xinghai Films in content and cinema, IMAX technology will also strive to continue to change and reduce costs. Richard Gere believes that IMAX theaters will definitely become mainstream in the future. Simon is now thinking about whether it is time to set up the investment department of Xinghai Entertainment. There are too many aspects involved in the film industry. In order to ensure the core competitiveness of the group, necessary industry and technology investment is also essential. Chapter 259 The Black Swan and Amp Dystocia. Christmas in 2008 was less lively for many people. but more lonely. Although the climate of Los Angeles is not as cold as New York, it is also cooler than the warmth of other seasons. Early in the morning, Blake Lively lay in Simon's arms in the bedroom of his beach house in the beautiful Santa Monica, his fingers running circles on Simon's chest. What about Christmas? You seem to have been paying little attention to this important holiday? Having known Simon for so long, Blake Lively never understood why Simon turned a blind eye to Christmas. Don't you know? I'm an atheist. I'm not familiar with God, let alone Jesus. Simon laughed. PFFT, anyway, many rich people don't care much about God and Jesus. You only believe in money, but ordinary people's beliefs are much purer than yours, Blake Lively joked. The vast majority of Americans are there as a belief, and a few elites believe in money and power. Simon shook his head, got out of bed, and came to the huge floor-to-ceiling window in the room. In his eyes, the endless Pacific Ocean seemed to be in a line with the sky. The most beautiful beach in the Los Angeles area, Santa Monica Beach, lives up to its name. No wonder it attracts countless tourists every day. It's been another year, Simon sighed while looking out the window. Blake Lively also got up, picked up a pajama next to him and draped it over his body, walked to the window with his long white legs and stood side by side with Simon. There has been speculation in the newspapers recently that the Nine-Head Bird Fund is also a client of the Madoff Fund. Many banks and funds have suffered heavy losses, Blake Lively laughed. Don't worry about this. The tabloids like to talk nonsense. Otherwise, why would there be sales? You are also paying attention to the Madoff Fund? Simon turned his head and asked, shouldn't this guy have invested millions in it? It's been such a big thing lately, and Susan has been bringing it up a lot. She seems to have invested more than $500,000 in a fund owned by Madoff Investments, said Blake Lively, of AC Brokers. Susan A. White, after taking over from Sonia Roman, has become a relatively successful small brokerage company with the development of Xinghai Pictures. Simon nodded. Of course Susan White knew it. Sonia Roman's good friend. As for whether AC Brokerage has become one of the partners of several large brokerage firms, I don't know. By the way, there seems to be a small-budget movie, The Wrestling King, being screened recently by Venus Studios, starring Mickey Rourke, and the effect is good. The release date is January next year. Blake Lively said suddenly. The Wrestling King? Simon nodded and said, yes, the literary film directed by Darren Aronofsky is indeed starring Mickey Rourke, who has changed his appearance. What's wrong? After all, Mickey Rourke was also one of the representatives of Hollywood's sexy male stars in his early years. After that, he ran to fight, and alcohol, drugs and women completely changed his appearance. Well, Darren Aronofsky also has a script, Stupid Actor, that has been in preparation for many years, and is also looking for investment from the distributor. I heard that Ms. Ashley Brax has decided to support Darren Aronofsky is here to shoot the script, Blake Lively told his agent. Susan White, Stupid Actor? Simon shook his head, expressing that he didn't know, and then asked with a smile, do you want to play the role in that movie? Blake Lively hugged Simon's waist intimately, rubbing his chest on Simon's arm. Indifferently, Darren Aronofsky has been looking at this script for many years, and he has not been able to find a film investor, and I heard that he wants Natalie Portman to play the heroine. Last year, I heard that Universal Pictures, the industry, agreed to invest, but wasn't happy with the script, explained Blake Lively. Darren Aronofsky asked a screenwriter to rewrite the script, and the name was changed to Black Swan, and the outline was to tell a supernatural thriller about ballet. Black Swan? Simon was stunned for a moment. The movie in which Natalie Portman won the Oscar for Best Actress? It was revealed that he won the Oscar by using various publicity methods, such as stuntmen and hype. Then why didn't Universal Pictures invest in Black Swan? Since it was taken over by Ashley Brax of Daystar Pictures, Universal Pictures must have given up on the film because Darren Aronofsky wanted to start preparations as soon as possible. Universal Pictures has not been optimistic, so when The Wrestling King filming ended, Darren Aronofsky found Universal Pictures again and was rejected. After that, he persuaded Universal Pictures to change the script. It happened that his Wrestling King was released by Star Ocean, so he recommended the script. Ms. Ashley Brax thought it was okay, and then took over, said Blake Lively, looking at Simon. The Wrestling King has a good effect. After Susan analyzed the plot outline of Black Swan, she felt that the supporting actress in it was quite suitable for me, so that's it. Simon listened to Blake Lively's commentary, not expecting the production of Black Swan to be so full of setbacks and difficulties. Darren Aronofsky should be fully committed to the promotion of the King of Wrestling now? Is Black Swan ready to shoot? Simon asked. Blake Lively shook his head and said seriously, not yet. The script of Black Swan is still being perfected. Darren Aronofsky is asking the screenwriter of Wrestling King to work on improving Black Swan drama. As for Ben, the actors have not been officially announced, and even Natalie Portman has not signed a contract with the crew. Really? Simon said, hugging Blake Lively and smiling. Since it's still in the early stages of preparations, I'll take some time to read the script, and then you can audition. Simon hopes to also replace Natalie Portman. After all, she is really average when it comes to acting and influence. As for her being able to win the Oscar with this Black Swan, the means of public relations must be ranked first. Yet, Blake Lively nodded happily. Such a trivial matter. Simon's words must be fine after all. Blake Lively also knows his acting skills, so he is not fighting for the heroine of the movie, but the supporting actress who has many opposite scenes with a heroine. Listening to Susan White's words, relying on high-quality movies to make a name for yourself and hone your acting skills is what is needed now, and you can't always rely on the popularity of Gossip Girl to be an idol. Chapter 260 Christmas Battle. On Christmas Day in the United States, there is another thing that attracts Simon, that is, the NBA Christmas Battle that he had not had the opportunity to enjoy before. When it comes to basketball, although it is not as attractive as football, it is much stronger than football, baseball and ice hockey. The 2008 Christmas game, the Los Angeles Lakers against the Boston Celtics, was indeed an eye-catching battle of giants at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The Staples Center Arena in downtown Los Angeles was full of fans. The Los Angeles Lakers faced the visiting Boston Celtics after the Lakers lost to the Celtics in the 2007-2008 finals. This Christmas battle can be seen as a battle of revenge for the Lakers. At the same time, the Celtics have won 19 consecutive victories. Both teams are strong contenders for the season championship, which naturally attracts attention. Kobe Bryant and Pau Gasol faced off against the big three of last season's champion Celtics: Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen. Since Blake Lively left Beverly Hills in the morning to spend Christmas with his family, Simone invited Jessica Alba, who lives in Santa Monica and is also interested in the NBA, to watch it with him. Contest in the first row on the side of the court. Simon and Jessica Alba were next to each other, and the surrounding area was also star-studded. Veteran movie star Jack Nicholson is next to Simon, and Leonardo DiCaprio, Denzel Washington and Ice Cooper and other movie stars are also sitting not far away. I've been thinking about whether I can bring Kobe to New York. It seems too difficult, Simon exclaimed after the first quarter. Kobe is indeed the king of Los Angeles. Kobe's contract didn't expire until the summer of 2011, and now the Lakers are title contenders, Jessica Alba said, taking a sip of water. Simon nodded. The combination of Kobe and Gasol is indeed powerful. If you want to bring LeBron James to New York in the future, it will be impossible without bleeding. After the performance of the Lakers cheerleaders, just a few were sitting on the floor in front of Simon's chair and glanced casually. The Lakers cheerleaders were indeed well chosen as the game continued, both on and off the field. It was extremely hot, and Jack Nicholson by his side seemed to have endless energy. Following Kobe's violent dunk, the audience boiled over, and Simon also stood up and applauded. Ha, not bad. Jack Nicholson, an old fan, turned his head to look at Kobe and said excitedly, Simon, this is the Lakers, the undefeated Lakers. It's really good to be able to transfer Pau Gasol to help Kobe. Mitch Kupchak's summer deal is a magical stroke. Simon is absolutely drooling. A parallel champion Quayne Brown and several other players plus a first-round pick in exchange for the Grizzlies star Pau Gasol. Even Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban called it a crime the Lakers lost to the Celtics in the finals last season, and the Lakers will definitely win the championship this season. Jack Nicholson said and waved his fist fiercely. If Kobe is willing to leave Los Angeles in 2 years, I'd really like to bring him to New York, Simon said with a playful look at Jack Nicholson. Kobe left Los Angeles? Take him to New York? Jack Nicholson suddenly thought that Simon is now the owner of the Nets, and immediately shook his head and said excitedly, no, this is absolutely not possible. Kobe is the symbol of the Lakers, and even more so. On behalf of Los Angeles, he won't leave. Neither Jackson nor Base will allow it. Phil Jackson is the meritorious coach of the Lakers, and Jerry Buss is the majority shareholder of the Lakers. The current Phil Jackson is also boyfriend and girlfriend with Jerry Buss's daughter, Jenny Buss, although the age difference is 17 years. Ha. Looking at this guy's excited expression, Simon smiled and said, when Kobe's 11-year contract expires, he will be 33 years old. Not sure. In that case, why didn't you buy the Clippers? Jack Nicholson is a Los Angeles fan. If the Lakers game is not good, it is acceptable to see the Los Angeles Clippers. If Donald Sterling promised to sell the Clippers, would I not buy it? Simon spread his hands. Donald Sterling moved to Los Angeles after acquiring the Clippers in 1981, and he has been holding the team without him. The Los Angeles market is big enough. Oh yet, Sterling's miser won't sell the team. Jack Nicholson, who knows the NBA well, is of course familiar with Donald Sterling, and is the owner of one of two Los Angeles teams, but Donald Sterling is stingy, and has the title of a miser. Simon nodded. Of course it's good to have a Los Angeles team, but if you want to buy the Clippers, you have to wait until Donald Sterling's racist remarks are exposed, and the league will force him to sell the team. One of the 2008 Christmas games, the Los Angeles Lakers versus the Boston Celtics, ended up beating the Celtics 92-83 in the Lakers. After the game, Simon and Jessica Alba also took photos with some players of the two teams. Jerry Buss has been in charge of the Lakers for many years. Over the years, he has been gradually delegating power to his children. The second daughter who cares most about the Los Angeles Lakers is the current head coach Phil Jackson's girlfriend Jenny Buss. Yes, now the Lakers vice president of operations. Simon, it's a good thing your team isn't here. Los Angeles, Old Base and Simon came out of the team's locker room together, laughing. However, I believe that the New York of the future is equally worthy of your pride. Even if I'm in Los Angeles, I'm not sure that I'm better than the Lakers, right? Simon smiled. Combining sports and entertainment, Old Bus has a beautiful hand, and the Staples Center operated by Almschutz Entertainment is also the same. It is also one of the landmarks of Los Angeles. Old Base looked at the Hollywood beauty Jessica Alba on the other side of Simon, and said with a smile, I think, if you combine Hollywood and the NBA, if you do it, the effect will be better than everyone else. Don't worry, I'm already a member of the NBA league, and I will help the NBA's marketing, both publicly and personally, Simon said, leaving the gym with his arms around Jessica Alba's waist. Simon, I think you seem to be a Kobe fan too. You just talked a lot with him, Jessica Alba asked while kissing Simon on the face in the car. Hey, Bryant Kobe is now the veritable #1 player in the NBA. His market is too big. How many spectators buy tickets just to see him? Simon said helplessly. At this point, all interests are considered, yet a lot of stars want to know him and have something to do with him. Jessica Alba certainly agreed. Let's go back. Chapter 261. San Francisco. With the end of Christmas in 2008, it also marked the arrival of 2009. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, which was released on Christmas Day, opened in 2,988 theaters on Christmas Day on Thursday, with a box office of $38.86 million over the 4-day weekend. Got rave reviews. The North American box office of the first Marvel adaptation film Iron Man, released by Xinghai Pictures, also exceeded $250 million smoothly, and went straight to $300 million. The low-cost director Slumdog Millionaire also made more than $30 million at the North American box office and continued to harvest a box office in more than 100 theaters. At present, there are only 116 theaters for Life and Death, but because the film's reputation is still good, Ms. Ashley Brax is already fighting for more theaters, and it is expected that there will be 250 to 300 more theaters starting next week. Laura Collins reports from Simon's office on recent results, the starkly different performances of commercials and literary films. It's very difficult for this kind of literary film to be screened in theaters on a large scale. It can only be released slowly to win the box office. Simon certainly understands this situation. After all, the resources owned by different film types are too different, and it is impossible for the company to every movies are heavily promoted. Today's Laura Collins wears a professional office girl's little suit, which sets off her bumpy figure, and the 3 unbuttoned shirt buttons allow one to admire the beautiful cleavage. Simon looked at the girl's bright red lips as he spoke, pulled Laura Collins into his arms, and said with a smile, "It's getting more and more lovable." Laura Collins, who recovered from the shock, patted Simon twice and said coquettishly, "The newspapers reported that you and Jessica Alba were watching the game at the Staples Center on Christmas Day. The newspapers like to talk nonsense. When can they take it seriously?" Simon said and smiled and pinched on the girl. "Okay, I'm going to San Francisco for a while these days. Just notify me directly if the company has anything," Simon said and kissed the girl's red lips. "I went to San Francisco because Tong Lidia was going to visit the United States for a few days, and her first stop was San Francisco as the U.S. city with the largest number of Chinese immigrants," San Francisco has long attracted Chinese from the east to come here. San Francisco International Airport is located in San Mateo County on the west side of the city. As the high-tech industry concentration point in the western part of the Bay Area, it belongs to the Silicon Valley area. Simon received Tong Liya in the early morning of 12:31, and directly sent the girl who had worked hard for more than 10 hours to the Hyatt Regency Hotel in Union Square in San Francisco to rest in the afternoon. In the lobby of the hotel suite, Simon was watching the news on the sofa, and Tong Liya, who woke up, came out. Have a good night's sleep, so comfortable. The girl came to the sofa. There will be 2 days on the road. Next time I will let a private jet take you to and from the plane. My plane can fly directly to Beijing and Shanghai. It has everything in it, and it will be much more comfortable, Simon said and kissed the girl on the face. You're hungry? I'll have the hotel person deliver the meal right away. Well, I'm a little hungry, then I'll go take a shower first. Tong Liya said and went to the bathroom with her graceful figure swaying. Come on, eat more. This is caviar from Iran. It's not bad. Try it. Simon scooped a spoonful for Tong Liya and put it on her plate, and put the whole jar in front of her. Well, enough. Why don't you eat it? Tong Liya asked after taking a sip of red wine, seeing that Simon didn't move. I'm not hungry, Simon said, taking a sip from his glass and looking at the San Francisco Bay in the distance. It's very close to Chinatown, a 7-minute walk away. San Francisco Chinatown is the largest Chinatown in the West. Well, I do have to do some preparatory work in San Francisco this time. Mr. Zhou Xingqi and his team have already inspected here before, and this time we can shoot Tai Chi. Tong Liya will play the protagonist, Chinese, and Tai Chi, the daughter of the landlord. Although there are not many scenes, she can show her face anyway. It is a big production with an investment of $60 million co-produced by China and the United States. Tai Chi, has all the preparations been made in the early stage? We can start filming. Simon hasn't heard the news yet. Tong Liya shook her head and said with a smile, the filming will not start until March. Mr. Zhou has high requirements for all aspects of the film. This time, he will have detailed talks with some American actors. Then can I see Anne Hathaway soon? Tong Liya said excitedly, seeming to be interested in the heroine Anne Hathaway. Yes, anytime, Simon responded. It seems that Anne Hathaway's influence has expanded very well in recent years. Tong Liya nodded, and also checked the situation of Simon Parker. He was indeed a great man, the richest among the richest Americans, one of the idols of young people, and the top young tycoon in Hollywood. By the way, Tai Chi, a Sino-American co-production, has a great influence in China now, and many people are paying attention. Compared with the previous chibi directed by John Woo, the attention is higher, Tong Liya said, putting down her knife and fork. Wiping his mouth, he continued to speak. There is also a lot of publicity for Xinghe films by the domestic media. Iron Man has been confirmed to be released in February, which is the Chinese New Year. Simon smiled and said, it should be. Although John Woo's Red Cliff is a big investment, the actors are all Asian actors after all, and the West doesn't know much about that history. Tai Chi is different. The theme is Chinese Kung Fu. There has always been a market in Europe and the United States. At the same time, first-class actors from China and the United States have joined to perform. The investment of $60 million currently belongs to Hollywood. Moderate investment. The number of movies produced by Hollywood every year is also a few that exceed this budget. After all, of the hundreds of films that Hollywood produces every year, the vast majority are small, low-cost films, with investments of $1 or $2 million abound for many films. Being able to get into the cinema is already a success. Have a rest. Let's take you out for a walk. There are still some good attractions in San Francisco, Simon said, while helping Tong Liya up from the chair. I also arranged for the yacht to go to sea. If you are interested, we can go to Las Vegas, Los Angeles, or New York to play or shop, as you like. Las Vegas. I haven't been to the capital yet. Tong Liya seemed to be interested when she heard Las Vegas. Simon smiled and nodded. The name of the world's largest casino will change to Macau in 2 years. I'll make arrangements. Take advantage of the time now and enjoy the life here, Simon said, making a phone call and arranging the helicopter to go to the yacht. Chapter 262. Is this a reward? From yachting in San Francisco Bay, then the thrills of Las Vegas, to shopping spree in Los Angeles, Simon took Tong Liya over a perfect New Year's Day. At the same time, Stephen Chow's team also came to San Francisco to start the final film preparations with the help of Xinghe Films. Is the risk a little high if we do this? Ashley Brax, who is currently in charge of Venus Films, asked. After all, he is a Chinese actor. This kind of investment must have a certain market in North America and Europe. Relying on China's current market will definitely not work. Yes, but I am very confident, and this is also our attempt to enter the huge Chinese market. Anyway, we are also cooperating with Chinese capital. The focus of Xinghe Entertainment is also on distribution. Simon is of course somewhat confident, but I don't know what the final result will be. By the way, I heard that Darren Aronofsky has an adaptation of Black Swan and we invested in it. Ashley Brax nodded and explained, the cost is not high, and Darren Aronofsky has long persuaded Natalie Portman to play the heroine. I have read the original script, I talked to him again, and I think it's good, and it's still very artistic. Let Blake Lively try that supporting actress. After all, Simon agreed to Blake Lively's and wanted to say something. Ashley Brax was stunned for a moment, then nodded quickly. At present, I want to manage the Asian market, especially mainland China, and Venus Pictures can spend some time in this area to increase film exchanges between the two sides, Simon said calmly, leaning back on his chair. The development there is very fast, there is a huge population base, and there is no shortage of market. If you find a film project that fits their culture, we will get unexpected results in the future. I understand that the current Xinghe International Cinema Company, under Xinghe International Pictures, is also aware of the joint venture project of building a cinema in mainland China. Ashley Brax nodded in response. Moreover, there is also the Asian Film Fund of Xinghe International Films Asia branch, and plans to support new types of films. I think these are also helpful for us to enter the local market, but it will take time. After all, compared with the Big Six, the earlier one, or the Big Seven, their long history has created a strong brand influence and has a great advantage in the world. Xinghe Pictures is too young, and its sudden rise in recent years has indeed increased its influence, but the previous overseas distribution of films was also distributed by the 6 major networks. It will take time to catch up now. Well, Ms. Jo Lixon over there is still very experienced. She also knows more about Oriental culture. You can communicate with her more, and cultural integration is not so easy. Lax left the office. The arrival of 2009 marked the start of a new round of Oscar PR activities in Hollywood. The party was already in Los Angeles, but this time it has intensified. Even the financial tsunami has no impact on many big Hollywood stars, and the remuneration is still high. Media promotions, film promotions, fashion parties, charity evenings, business receptions, etc. never stop. A large charity appreciation dinner is being held at the Roosevelt Hotel on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Mr. Pike, the White House sincerely invited many friends from the Hollywood entertainment circle to attend the presidential inauguration on the 22nd. This victory, Hollywood's credit cannot be erased. Mario's chief of staff Lou Pining and Simon stood in the corner of the hotel lobby chatting. Mario was elected as the new president of the United States on 11.4 last year. Simon looked at this second-generation Chinese immigrant and is now Mario's cabinet secretary. God bless America. I hope the new president can lead everyone to move forward, and let America continue to move forward steadily on the road of freedom and democracy, Simon said. By then, I think Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C., will be packed with Hollywood platform stars. Hollywood's support for the Democratic Party is huge, and the stars on each platform are definitely not a few. Thank you for your support. Mr. Mario also said that he is very much looking forward to meeting you again. As a representative of the new generation of American dream, all Americans are very concerned about your future and plans, Lou Pining also said. He said with a smile, although the United States under the financial tsunami has blood from all over the world, it has been greatly affected. After all, young people like Simon Pike and Mark Zuckerberg are all positive examples of propaganda. The American dream, not a dream. I don't know much about other aspects, but I have some ideas about the entertainment industry, but I can discuss it with Mr. Mario. Of course, Simon's previous strong support needs to be repaid. After all, this is the rule that's the best. Hollywood is the window of the American cultural industry to the outside world. Simon, your Xinghe Entertainment has become more prosperous in recent years. You are more professional than all of us in this regard, and Mr. President will definitely listen to your opinions, Lou Pining said. Laughed. I wonder if there is anything I need to convey to Mr. Mario now. Simon smiled calmly, thought about it and said, the conglomeration of the entertainment industry is inevitable now, and the Paramount Act is a fact. There is nothing to say about these aspects. As for the overseas market, there is the MPAA. There is no problem with the operation, as long as the government provides support. Actually, I was thinking, If the groupization of the entertainment industry is a large-scale merger and acquisition, will it trigger a new monopoly break? Lu Pining smiled and said, recently, I also heard that Doncaster Group is proposing the acquisition of NBC Universal Entertainment Group to the Federal Trade Commission, but this kind of large-scale merger is not so fast. The antitrust subcommittee definitely needs to investigate market impact and volatility, so, in the spirit of free and fair competition, progress can only be achieved if there are opponents. Simon smiled and said casually, actually, Xinghai Entertainment is also interested in Vivendi's 20% stake in NBC Universal Entertainment. Lu Pining nodded. He had received hints from Simon's team before, and now he said it face to face. Obviously, Xinghai Entertainment himself is interested in NBC Universal, but with the huge size of the Doncaster Group, Simon Pike has no confidence, or he is not ready. The Federal Trade Commission will investigate in accordance with legal procedures. Lu Pining said and deliberately emphasized the pronunciation of the words legal procedures. Whether the snake can swallow the elephant, or if the time is too late, it is up to Xinghai to entertain himself, and the reward has already been given back. Chapter 263 Buying a Winery. Simon, congratulations, your results last year were very good. When Simon was resting on the sofa in the hotel lobby, a greeting broke Simon's contemplation. After all, the integrity of politicians is as low as that of capitalists. Whether Lu Pining can help in the investigation of Doncaster's acquisition of NBC Universal is unknown. He raised his head slightly. With a tall figure and delicate makeup, it turned out to be the beautiful Charlize Theron. Good evening, Simon said, getting up and hugging her. Why, are you also very interested in these? Simon remembers that Charlize Theron is a South African and only obtained American citizenship in 2007 as a citizen with dual citizenship of the United States and South Africa. No, Charlize Theron shook his head. I was asked by the agent to come over to the reception. Superman Hancock is in preparation, and I also need to expose it. Not only Charlize Theron, many foreigners are generally not involved in American politics. After all, getting American citizenship is for better work and life, just as a second citizenship. So it is, but your current situation should indeed look in the commercial direction. The literary films exercise their acting skills, and commercial films are also a guarantee of maintaining their popularity. Simon still has a good impression of a self-disciplined actor like Charlize Theron. After all, the character can be fat and thin, beautiful and ugly, and this serious attitude is worthy of praise. With the blessing of commercial films, there will naturally be more resources, and it will be easier to finance investment in literary films. I understand, but the commercial films I acted in before were not very good at the box office, and the word of mouth was not high, so Charlize Theron was a little helpless, and if he didn't finish it later, there was no better film company willing to look for it. I acted in a commercial film myself. However, I will work hard for this project of Superman Hancock, and I won't let you down. Charlize Theron, as an Oscar-winning actress, has yet to make a commercial film. Moreover, as a South African, the competition for resources cannot be compared with Native American actresses. There are only a few commercial blockbusters of this level in Hollywood every year, but there is one Oscar winner every year. Of that's good, but I really like an actor like you. Your looks, acting skills, and mentality are all first class. Very good. Simon praised. Charlize Theron smiled, and just as he was about to say something, Simon's cell phone rang. Excuse me. Simon took out his mobile phone, and it was Tong Liaya who called. After Simon answered the phone, it turned out that Tong Liaya and her party had an argument with others in San Francisco. Lombard Street in the Russian Hills residential area. One of the most famous downhill roads is the 180-meter-long 9-curved flower street on the Russian Hill. This street is one-way traffic in the downhill direction. It is the most tortuous street in the world. There are a total of 8 sharp turns. It is famous for its many twists and turns, and the corners are full of flowers and potted plants. In the afternoon, Tong Liaya deliberately took Zheng Jia, who came from China, to visit the famous scenic spot Jiuqua Flower Street, and had a small friction with several other passers-by in San Francisco. The reason was that the car behind hit the car that Tong Liaya and her party were sitting in when they were going through the curve. And the drivers of the two sides had a dispute. Moreover, when Zheng Jia got out of the car to watch the situation, he was accidentally pushed and pulled by the other party and fell. Then, the police were called, and the group went to a nearby police station. When Simon came to San Francisco, it was almost 2 in the morning, and he took his lawyer to the police station where Tong Liaya was. Let's go, it's alright. Simon asked Tong Liaya and Zheng Jia to get into the car, then turned to the lawyer and said, Those guys, it's unforgivable that you made them suffer a little and scared the two elegant ladies. Sir, don't worry, I'm happy to help, not to mention that Miss Zheng was pushed down and injured, which is a double blow, both physically and mentally, the lawyer said with a smile when Simon sent the two back to the hotel. He was going to let Zhengjia go to the hospital, but she said it was alright. Tong Lia's room at the Union Square Hotel in San Francisco. She was very happy that Simon came over from Los Angeles in the middle of the night. The crew members haven't come yet. They have to come after New Year's Day. Zhengjia came to take care of me earlier, Tong Lia said with an embarrassed expression. It doesn't matter, you don't know anyone here. If you knew you would go back to Los Angeles with me before. Simon smiled, although a little tired, but this kind of feeling not only has the feeling of liking but also compatriots. What about you? Didn't you say that Los Angeles has something to deal with? Isn't that too much trouble for you? Tong Lia actually didn't want to inform Simon, but she was really worried when she went to the police station, and it was only Simon. Simon shook his head and said, the two places are only more than 600 kilometers apart, and the plane can take an hour, and there is actually nothing major there. In the past 2 or 3 days, I have visited many places in San Francisco. What do you think? Do you like this city? Tong Lia nodded, thought about it, and said, it's okay. The attractions in many places are not bad. There are many tourists, and there are many Asian faces. However, I actually yearn for the life of a farmer and rancher. I heard that there are many large farms, ranches and wineries here in California. California is also a big agricultural state. As for wineries, the Napa Valley Hills in Napa, north of San Francisco, are a famous wine-producing area in the United States. Simon explained we can go to the Napa Valley wineries anytime we want. Okay, I like wine too, but do you have time? Of course Tong Lia wanted to be with Simon, but Simon was too busy after all. Don't worry. Simon smiled and kissed the girl on the cheek. However, you mentioned the winery. The sales of wine in China should be good now, right? I heard that it is getting better and better. Simon suddenly had an idea. Almost, there are more and more people who like to drink wine now. What's wrong? Tong Lia wondered. I think we can buy a winery in Napa Valley and try it out. Even if we don't sell wine to the public, it's good to have time to go on vacation. Simon is indeed an idea just now, and of course it depends on the winery. How about the size and scale? Buy a winery. Tong Lia's eyes widened, so casually. Buy one, Simon said and stretched his arm. These days you can check from the intermediary to see which winery for sale meets your expectations. It's also an investment. Well, tomorrow I'll have someone show you the situation and give you a winery. You can live there directly when you come to the United States. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 264 Black Horse Winery. Originally, Simon came to San Francisco after not staying in Los Angeles for a few days, but for San Francisco, Simon thinks it is not bad. There are a lot of immigrants, there are many people of all colors, and the proportion of Chinese is also high. Over the past few days, Simone went to the Silicon Valley area to visit the headquarters of several technology companies. After all, the Nine-Head Bird Fund also has a venture capital department that mainly targets the technology industry. On this day, Simon has just returned from the Google headquarters in Mountain View in the Silicon Valley area. Because of the rise of Apple's smartphones, the Android smartphone system supported by Google is also being vigorously developed. The future smartphone market is on. Are you going back to New York? Simon asked Nancy Davis, the head of the Nine-Headed Bird Fund, who was sitting in the car with him. I'll go to the airport later, but I didn't expect you to come to San Francisco, boss. The Queen of Wall Street is now well known, and this time he just came to inspect the Nine-Headed Bird Fund branch in the Silicon Valley area. I'm thinking of buying a winery in the Napa Valley to play. Now it's cheap. Nancy, do you want to buy a winery? Simon joked. Nancy Davis was stunned for a moment, looked at Simon and smiled, and said, the winery, boss, your interests are really wide. I bought a ranch near Chicago before, and my parents are somewhat interested in that. For the new toy of the owner's winery, Nancy Davis is still a little more interested in farming and ranching. That's a pity. I will brew some good wine in the future, and I will let someone give you some. Simon laughed. Okay. Nancy Davis nodded, then thought of something, and continued, Adam's main business direction in the Far East is the technology industry and real estate? There is no need to add other aspects. Should we invest more? After all, the impact of the financial tsunami is too great, and the impact on Asia, especially China, is less. It's unnecessary. The current financial market is too sluggish. It's enough to take some dips in technology and real estate. After all, our funds are not unlimited. Simon shook his head. In fact, his own funds still have great use but recently I heard that the owner is buying the Miami Dolphins, and your competitor Stephen Rose can't sit still in New York, Nancy Davis quipped. Now Simon Pike is really it's out of the limelight. Owning an NFL team is an unusual identity. Hey, this guy is wasting my money right now. Wayne Witsenga is waiting for us to bid now. Simon smiled, but he didn't care too much. After all, in terms of cash flow, he was really not afraid. Simon, your Nets are going to move to Brooklyn, New York. The new stadium is under construction, plus the Zinghe building, and the Zinghe Entertainment headquarters in Burbank. At this time, you have to buy the Miami Dolphins. Don't worry, the economic crisis continues. Nancy Davies reminded Simon to secure funds for emergencies. Simon smiled and said, don't worry, Zinghe Entertainment will issue corporate bonds for financing at the end of this year. Wall Street is very optimistic about my Zinghe Entertainment. Nancy Davis' eyes lit up. Zinghe Entertainment's current performance is dazzling, and its valuation is changing day by day. Financing? Is Zinghe Entertainment going to make a big move? Nancy Davis was a little curious now. Hey, when the time comes, you'll know. Simon didn't continue after Simon returned to the Union Square Hotel in San Francisco. Nancy Davis also went to the airport to fly to New York. Tong Lin has been a bit picky in recent days. There are dozens of winery information for sale in front of her. Simon also specially called a helicopter to take her to overlook several grape plantations that she is interested in from the air. How about it? Have you seen any winery? Simon sat on the sofa and asked Tong Lin's record over the past few days. Tong Lin held her forehead. This is a happy worry. She smiled and said, I've seen several of them these days, and they all feel good, and I don't know much about wine. I heard the introducer give a detailed introduction to a few of them, but I don't know how to choose. Tong Lin said and pushed several documents in front of Simon. Looking forward, why don't you choose one? All of them are fine. They all have ancient castles, wine cellars, grape plantations, and supporting brewing factories. Really? Let me see. Simon immediately began to look. This Black Horse Winery looks good. The vineyard is located in the Silver Mine Trail in the Oaksea Hills area of Napa Valley, and next to the city of Napa. The planting area is 32 acres, which is not very large, and there are many surrounding areas. Land, we can also buy and plant grape varieties in the future. A new winery that only opened the year before, and now we can take over it, Simon said after flipping it over and thinking it was pretty good. This one costs $4.5 million, and there are 32 acres of plantation. Isn't it a bit too big? Tong Lin felt a little guilty. It used to be a famous equestrian center. It would be better if the surrounding area is larger. We can continue to develop it in the future, right? Simon smiled and hugged the girl. As for the money, $4.5 million is not too expensive. It's almost $150,000 per acre, and the price will definitely go up in the future. But this. Tong Lin wanted to say something, but Simon kissed the girl on the mouth. That's it. These days, I'll have someone do the formalities for you as soon as possible. Register 2 companies, and acquire them in the name of the company. Whether it's operating or selling in the future, it will be beneficial in terms of taxation. Simon actually hasn't finished speaking, so if Tong Lin wants to immigrate in the future, she can also do it through this me. But, I don't understand it all. Tong Lin was of course a little excited. Take your time, it's a new winery anyway, and there are all staff in it. You can learn it slowly when you have time in the future. Simon was not worried at all. He gave her a winery in the United States, and she will come to the United States later. There should be more times. However, the staff of Tai Chi are about to come to the United States. After I stay with them for a few days, I will go back to China for the Spring Festival, which is the most important festival in our country. Tong Lin said with some reluctance. Don't worry, it will take you a month to complete the procedure, so don't worry. Simon knew of the Spring Festival. Of course you can take advantage of this time to give the winery a new name. Since it has a new owner, it's time to change a new name. After all, the name Black Horse doesn't mean much. Equestrian Center have been closed for decades. Chapter 265. Another family enters. Buying a private winery for $4.5 million in Napa Valley is not worth mentioning to Simon. If it wasn't for Talia, Simon wouldn't even bother to care about it at the beginning of the year. Hollywood was lively and crazy. The annual Golden Globe Awards for film and television and the Academy Awards of the Film Academy were all where various film institutions and filmmakers spent their energy. The Marvel adaptation movie Iron Man, released by Xinghai Pictures itself, became popular from last year's Christmas period, and it was also the biggest winner of the Christmas period. And this year's Thor has also been scheduled for the summer, and the Iron Man 2 project has also been launched. In the past 2008, Simon's career was almost fully developed, especially the thriving Xinghai Films in Burbank, the Xinghai Grand Theater in the Xinghai Entertainment headquarters area on Ventura Avenue. Held a large entertainment dinner not only to celebrate the completion of the Xinghai headquarters, but also to celebrate the good results of the previous year. The top executives of various film companies, various movie stars, singers, fashion and financial investment. The grand scene does not lose the Oscar Awards dinner on the red carpet. The Hollywood actresses and most of the male stars in black dresses are of course the focus. Warner Brothers, Paramount, 20th Century Fox, Universal, Sony, Disney and MGM and other major studios aside, Legendary Entertainment, Relativity Media, etc. have high-level executives to attend the dinner in the hall. The shuttle waiters kept delivering drinks to the guests, and Katy Perry and Taylor Swift of Star Records also sang as guest performers. In a corner of the hall, Sony Columbia Pictures chairman Amy Pascal is talking with current MGM CEO Harry Sloan. A Subway horror has been set for release in June this year. This is a blockbuster with an investment of $100 million and Denzel Washington as the starring role. Columbia is very confident in this film, Amy said. Pascal is the head of Columbia Pictures, and MGM is still controlled by Columbia. Of course, he should be concerned about MGM's performance. The 007 Wars Quantum of Solace, produced by MGM last year, was very good at the box office, but this is the only film that has been shot, and the distribution rights are also in the hands of Columbia Pictures. And this year's Metro horror was also invested and produced by MGM and Columbia, with a budget of $100 million, which is definitely a blockbuster for MGM. After Harry Sloan listened to Amy Pascal's words, there was still no sign of letting go of the knitted brows. Now MGM's first phase debt repayment time is approaching, and the company's current operating funds can barely make ends meet. Harry Sloan was helpless. Sony Columbia did not continue to inject capital after holding MGM, still lending abroad in the name of MGM now. The performance of MGM in the past 2 years is really bad, and the debt is getting higher and higher year by year. Don't worry, the 007 series is gaining momentum now, and isn't the Lord of the Rings prequel The Hobbit series co-developed with New Line in preparation? Amy Pascal, who is in charge of Columbia Pictures, of course knows MGM is just a tool owned by Sony, a tool to promote Blu-ray HD DVD. It's only been a few years since the establishment of Xinghai Pictures. Look at how popular the films they produce are. Not only that, but also in terms of awards, the current situation with Marvel's Xinghai Entertainment has surpassed MGM, Amy Pascal said to herself, or to current MGM chairman Harry Sloan. MGM, which is not enterprising and does not seek flexibility, is still living in its former glory, and the rigid film system is completely unable to keep up with the times. Harry Sloan was also slightly embarrassed, and his eyes turned to Simon Pike not far away, who is only 27 years old and is now a major Hollywood tycoon. On the other side, Gene Mayer, President and Chief Operating Officer of Universal Pictures, is talking to Ryan Cavalog, founder and chairman of Relativity Media. Universal Pictures is part of NBC Universal Entertainment, and its parent group is General Electric. Gene Mayer is currently likely to be promoted to become the Chief Executive Officer, CEO, of Universal Pictures, replacing the current Universal Pictures Alliance chiefs Mark Schmug and David Lindy. Although Mark Schmug and David Lindy took over for Stacy Snyder, who left DreamWorks in 2006, however, the current chairman of NBC Universal Entertainment, Jeff Zucker, is not satisfied with Mark Schmugger and David Lindy. Difficulty. Ryan, Relativity Media is interested in Roger Pictures? Are you also planning to enter the film distribution industry? Gene Mayer proposed to Ryan Cavalog of Relativity Entertainment to acquire the genre film production and distribution company under Focus Pictures. There are still some surprises in ROG Films, but it is also reasonable. Last year, Relativity Media raised another $1 billion from Wall Street Paul Singer's hedge fund in exchange for equity. Otherwise, how could Relativity Media increase its investment in Sony and Universal? Ryan Cavalog smiled casually and said, "We have been in the film industry for a few years, and we have kept in touch with all major Hollywood film producers. It has always been in the investment and production stage. At present, due to the financial tsunami, many investors have reduced their quotas, and Relativity Media also has to make its own contribution to the film market. After we have a distribution network, we can do better support the creation and investment of the film. Moreover, ROG Films also meets our requirements in all aspects. The finished film is mainly made of small investment, which is suitable for our new type of film and television company. Jean Mayer smiled and said, I understand that Universal Pictures' decision to sell Rogue Pictures was also considered. Now each film company does have the means to reduce the number of films, and the label of Roger Pictures and the film projects it holds are indeed the means for Universal Pictures to withdraw funds. Since Relativity Media has ideas and funds, Jean Mayer certainly will not refuse this kind of conversation. Ryan, I can't believe that Hollywood seems to be lively again now. Xinghe Film Company, Limited has been involved in film distribution last year. Now you Relativity Media seem to be full of confidence, which is really good. Jean Mayer smiled. Film distribution needs capital support. Xinghe Pictures has it, and now Relativity Media seems to be not bad money. Mr. Mayer, let's go over there and talk slowly. Ryan Roger pointed to the sofa in the corner with a smile. Chapter 266 Missed a lot. Ah! Simon shouted in surprise from the balcony outside the hall. Preferred purchase agreement? That is to say, the 20% of NBC Universal shares in Vivendi's hands can only be obtained if GE gives up. Sonia Roman nodded. That was the truth. That's no chance. Simon frowned. If General Electric wants to sell NBC Universal to Doncaster, it will definitely use the funds provided by Doncaster to recover the 20% of NBC from Vivendi first. Universal shares. You must pay close attention. Doncaster's acquisition of NBC Universal is not a simple matter. The entertainment industry cannot be operated by any company. Doncaster's main business is cable operation and network management, film and television production and the content industry. The risks they need to assess are also high. At the same time, we must always maintain contact with government agencies. After all, we also have a lot of political resources now, and lobbying in this regard is indispensable. Although, I have already passed the agreement with the Secretary General of the new president, but I still need to add a few more insurances. I understand. Sonia Roman nodded and reminded, General Electric is actually very interested in our Xinghe Entertainment. What if NBC Universal and Xinghe Entertainment merge? Simon waved his hand, and of course refused directly. In this case, NBC Universal will acquire us. No. How could Xinghe Entertainment, which was finally built, make wedding dresses for others after Sonia Roman left? Simon was a little confused. NBC Universal still doesn't seem to be cheap at the moment. If the price is too high, of course I feel uncomfortable. However, the combination of movies and parks has long been the general trend. Not to mention the world-famous Disneyland. Universal Studios is also famous. Paramount's Kings Island Casino, 20th Century Fox's Australian Movie Land, Warner Brothers' Harry Potter Land, and even Sony Studios attract many tourists every year. If Xinghe Entertainment wants to become bigger and stronger, it still lacks time and background, but time waits for no one, and it must be hurry. In the banquet hall, there was a rush of people, wine glasses were handed over, laughter and laughter filled it, and tonight was destined to belong to Xinghe Entertainment, and of course to Simon Pike. In the corner of the banquet hall, Simon saw a woman he hadn't seen for a long time, quietly holding a glass of wine in a daze. Eva, why are you in a daze here alone? Simon walked over and asked the somewhat unsociable Eva Green. Eva Green finished filming Crack in the UK last year, then went back to France and is now in Los Angeles because Crack is about to be released in North America. Eva Green stood up blankly and smiled. You know, my social, the same smoky makeup, a sexy black dress, fully presented Eva Green's unique temperament. Simon looked around and looked at Eva Green again. This kind of occasion is the time to meet people and make friends. Eva Green was able to participate in such an important occasion, not only because of Crack released by Venus Pictures. After all, it was a small literary film. Being able to have this opportunity is also due to the unclear relationship with Simon, and by the way, it can also explore the way for Crack. Let's go to the lounge next door and sit for a while, Simon said and left the noisy banquet hall with the girl. Simon leaned on the sofa, stretched out his hand to loosen the tie around his neck, and pressed his temple again. Looking a little tired, Eva Green sat next to Simon and said, I heard that Xinghe Entertainment is very popular now. Many people are optimistic about Xinghe Entertainment. Why are you a little unhappy? Unhappy? Simon shook his head and explained, I'm just a little tired. How can I be unhappy? Now Hollywood, except for the big six, is my Xinghe Entertainment, and they are all afraid of me. Having said that, Simon put his hand on Eva Green's chin and smiled. I have seen the promotional video of Crack, and it is not bad. Your shape and expression are very good, by the way. Who is that foreign girl in Crack? Simon asked again about the beautiful young actress who had physical contact with Eva Green in the movie. Maria Vaward, a young actress in Spain, is 22 years old. Are you interested in her? Of course, Eva Green knew who Simon was asking. After all, Maria Vaward already had a relationship in Spain, gained some fame. Maria Vaward? Simon really thought the actor was very beautiful and had a temperament, nodded and said, some features. Simon seems to remember. Isn't she the little Spanish rose? The image in 3 meters above the sky is very attractive, showing his own beauty to the fullest. She is really good, very serious. She has had a lot of acting experience in Spain before and won a lot of acting awards. Eva Green said, looked at Simon, and asked with a smile, why, are you interested in her? Simon didn't speak. He lowered his head and kissed the girl's lips, his lips and tongue intertwined. Eva Green doesn't mind undressing in the movies, but she's a bit conservative in life. Gossip, bars, parties, these have almost nothing to do with her, and Simon himself can't understand this woman. It seems that she is destined to go further and further in the dark style. The gothic style is also unique. The two were gasping for breath, and they were already a little infatuated under the influence of alcohol, and the girl's loose dress slowly fell off while the two were in a state of confusion in the lounge. They didn't know that someone in the lounge next door was talking about the big things that Simon had always cared about. That's why the Disney Group is preparing to build Shanghai Disneyland in Shanghai, China. Negotiations and preparations have started many years ago, but because the economic level of mainland China was not good before, Disney chose Hong Kong, which has a more developed economy and more convenient transportation. At present, officials from the group in Shanghai have had substantial contacts, and the differences are mainly on the shareholding and the allocation of funds, said Disney Vice Chairman Roy Disney and Disney Pictures Chairman Dick Cook. Shanghai, China's economy is developing rapidly now, and Disneyland's global influence can also better help local economic development. This is a win-win situation. Dick Cook certainly agreed with this project. Disney, Pixar and Touchstone Films brands have a lot of IP. Robert asked Simon about Marvel Entertainment's opinion before, and he tried to acquire it, but was rejected. Roy Disney said with a pity on his face, looking at it now, we did miss a lot. Chapter 267. Thinking of a way. The sea breeze blowing from the Pacific Ocean still makes the winter in Los Angeles feel warm. The first few months of the year have been a grand event in the film and television entertainment industry. The Golden Globe Awards and the Oscars have made Hollywood a popular entertainment part. Early in the morning, in a European-style minimalist villa more than 6,000 feet above the Holmby Hills in Beverly Hills, Simon was lying on the side of the bed, gently touching Eva Green in his arms, and Simon's fingertips scratched the smooth skin. Holmby Hills and Bel Air and Beverly Hills make up the most famous noble platinum triangle in Los Angeles. Simon also has a lot of love for Eva Green, and specially arranged such a quiet villa for the girl so that she can live in Los Angeles. By the way, what are your long-term plans? Simon still felt a little pity for Eva Green, not being good at socializing in Hollywood. Moreover, the image of Eva Green seems to be somewhat routine, a dark woman in gothic style. I don't know yet, but the agent has already told me that Crack has a high evaluation and is very literary. The movie is also based on my character, but after all, it is too small and its influence is too small, Yi said. Va Green said, looked at Simon, and continued to say, also, I'd like to try roles other than non-nervous glamour, and I'll be back in Europe for some movies if I need to. Returning to Europe? Simon was stunned for a moment. You are now one of the representatives of French actresses in Hollywood. Juliette Binoche, Sophie Marceau are slowly getting old and returning to Europe. The new French, it's you and Marion Cotillard who's making their mark in Hollywood right now, Simon said while stroking Eva Green's long black hair with his hand, and said with a smile, with me, you should have no shortage of resources. However, now you are less and less involved in the film line. Eva Green is not stupid. Now Simon Pike only determines the general direction, and the businesses that take care of it are also blooming everywhere: movies, funds, sports, real estate, etc. and other aspects. Xinghe Entertainment is getting bigger and bigger, and the group's business expansion has touched movies, TV, music, cinema, consumer goods and so on. Reaching out and scratching lightly on the girl's chin, Simon smiled. Indeed, I spend less time on movies now, but you don't have to go back to Europe. Stay in Hollywood. Both resources and exposure are high. Some Staying here, you are always in the leading position in the film industry. If you return to Europe, you will just waste the popularity you have built up over the years, Simon said, kissed the girl fiercely on the lips, and said with a smile, besides, you are not short of money now, aren't you? That. Eva Green reached out and stroked Simon's abdominal muscles gently, her cold fingers touching the lumpy muscles. I don't have to go back to Europe? Just stay in Hollywood, Simon nodded and explained, after all, this is the center of the world's film industry. Even if you receive a good script from Europe, you can go to shoot at any time. There is no need to focus on Europe. Eva Green nodded. After all, as a French actress, it is not easy to have a place in the United States. It's a little uncomfortable to shift the focus like this. Okay, don't think about it too much. Crack will be released soon. Feel free to promote the movie. I believe this year is another busy year for you, Simon said. Hugging the girl and kissing her lips, there was a lot of fire in the early morning, and soon the bedroom showed a picture of a French female knight riding a horse and dancing on the evening of January 11, 2009. The 66th American Film and Television Golden Globe Awards were held at the Hilton Hotel in Beverly Hills. Surprisingly, the film The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, which has won 5 nominations and has been the most popular, was won by Xinhai, Paramount and Warner Brothers, but was not received at the Golden Globe Awards. It was produced and distributed by Xinhai Pictures, but Slumdog Millionaire, directed by British director Danny Boyle, won 4 awards for Best Drama Film, Director, Screenwriter and Soundtrack in one fell swoop. Became the biggest winner of this year's Golden Globes, as one of the bellwethers of the Oscars, also increased confidence in the upcoming Oscars next month in order to be able to participate in this year's Oscar selection. The small-budget movie Wrestling King, which was released in advance at the end of last year, also won the Best Drama Actor award at the Golden Globe Awards, and Kate Winslet alone won the Best Drama Actress for Life and Death, and then won the 2 Best Supporting Actress awards for Revolutionary Road at the same time. Stephen Chow's team from China also started the preliminary preparations for Tai Chi in San Francisco. The investment of $60 million is definitely a huge sum of money for a Chinese movie. The most important thing is that the hero is an authentic Chinese actor. Tong Liya, who has stayed for a while, will also return to China first, and the winery has a new name, Zinma Winery. Does the Black Horse sound bad? Simon smiled, and really had no opinion on what name to change. It's just that it was changed from a black horse to a new horse, and it doesn't seem to have changed much. It symbolizes a new life and a new beginning for this winery and vineyard. There was a horse farm there before, and I haven't changed its history. Tong Liya seemed to be satisfied with her name also. Director Zhou Xingqi also seems to think that the winery is good, and Tai Chi will also be filming at that time. That's right. Simon clapped his palms to show his encouragement, and said with a smile, this advertisement is good. It is estimated that many Chinese friends will know about this winery by then. However, in June, can the formalities be completed? Tong Liya seemed to be still a little worried. Don't worry, I can guarantee that the Zingma winery belongs to you next month. After the Chinese New Year, you can use the winery. There is no problem in setting up the scene or arranging the location. Simon is of course confident. Okay then, Tong Liya said, looking at Simon again and asking, then when will you go to China again? Don't worry, that is an important market that I will develop in the future, and I will go there often, Simon said, his eyes flashing. NBC Universal is not easy to deal with now, but Disneyland has a substantive dialogue in exchange with the city government, which cannot be tolerated in the future. A Shanghai Disneyland will occupy almost 50% of the entire Disney parks and resorts I haven't even entered yet. How can Disneyland enter this huge market in the future with arrogance? It's really time to think of a way. Chapter 268 at an amp coming soon. As the outpost of the Oscars, the Golden Globe Awards for film and television are considered to be a movie event with great influence. Slumdog Millionaire, produced by Xinhai, is also considered an upset. However, compared to the Oscars ceremony to be held at the end of next month, the Golden Globes can only be left behind in Beverly Hills, Simon's luxurious hilltop manor. The sun shines warmly through the huge floor-to-ceiling windows. Simon, who was half lying on the sofa, propped his head with one hand, and tapped the armrest of the sofa with the other hand rhythmically with the music from the nearby old-fashioned record player. The sun shining on him seemed to give Simon an urge to fall asleep. If it wasn't for the knock on the door interrupting Simon's thoughts, Simon might have fallen asleep. The person who came was Ivanka, who came from New York on the East Coast to Los Angeles on the West Coast. So you like this kind of light music? Ivanka laughed after sitting down beside Simon, really enjoying it. Simon smiled, raised his hand to turn off the sound of the record player, and yawned. Meet Stephen Ross. Has he given up on the Miami Dolphins? What else? Who can easily buy more than $1 billion in cash like you? Wayne Whitsenga is also a businessman and knows how to choose. Ivanka thinks it's not difficult, it's just a money transaction, but still said, Stephen Rose's Vornado Real Estate Company is a big group after all. The team and the stadium are yours, and the surrounding real estate properties. I think you can choose to cooperate with him. Of course, Vornado Real Estate is also an old-fashioned real estate company, and it's good to let them develop. Simon didn't eat it all. After all, it's good for competitors to become partners. Do business and be friendly. How good it is to make money. Why? Your company is not interested in this? Simon asked suddenly. Trump Real Estate is also one of the East Coast real estate giants. Ivanka shook her head and smiled. Currently, the group's debt ratio is very high, and we are negotiating with several banks for support. We have a lot of projects in hand. Simon looked at the girl's eyes, and just nodded. The real estate is currently in a recession, and places like Miami and Las Vegas are the hardest hit areas. The Trump Organization's industrial losses in these two places are not small. The Vornado Real Estate Group is still very strong, but it's also my fault for Stephen Rose's bad luck. I also like the Miami Dolphins when I meet them, Simon said, taking a sip of the wine brought in by the butler. The New Jersey side has a lot of opinions about you moving the Nets to New York. The local fans have united to put pressure on the city government. Maybe you should pay attention to it, Ivanka kindly reminded. After all, NBA football relocating a team to a city is a big deal. This is not something I should be concerned about. Forest City Group should be more concerned. The Atlantic Plaza project is not a small move. Now that the new gymnasium in Brooklyn has been built, do you still need to worry about it? Simon said, leaning on the sofa, a picture lazy look. If Bruce Ratner couldn't handle that, Forest City wouldn't be one of New York's real estate giants. Ivanka put the wine glass in her hand on the coffee table in front of her and frowned. The current sale price of the Miami Dolphins is not low. Have you really thought about it? And the results of the Dolphins are not very good. Ivanka's idea is that with Simon's current earning power, investing this money in the stock market can get a higher return. How much? Wayne Whitsenga's final sale price, Simon asked. $1.1 billion. Ivanka spit out a number slowly. $1.1 billion, Simon said, stood up, walked to the floor-to-ceiling window, and looked at the city of Los Angeles in the distance. It's really not cheap. Fortunately, those big banks are very supportive of me. Nine Birds Sports and Entertainment seems to be about to own the second large sports club, the Miami Dolphins, and American football. Because of the strong spending power in North America, football is deeply loved by Americans and has great value. It is definitely the most valuable league. After a while, I'll go to Miami to really buy the Dolphins. Simon turned around and said with certainty, Miami. Ivanka nodded and muttered, when are you going? Ivanka knew that a major event in the entertainment industry, the Oscars, was about to be held, and Xinghai Pictures currently has a lot of energy to spend on it early next month. Simon will of course wait until the end of the month's Oscar nominations list, after which he can do the necessary awards PR based on the list. 2/22 is the day when the Academy Awards ceremony will be held, and it will be possible to come back no matter what. At night, in Simon's bedroom, a man and a woman were gasping for breath. Following Ivanka's singing, Simon slowly turned over from the girl's body. Ivanka wiped the sweat on her face, kissed Simon on the mouth beside her, and said with some anger, Dear, you are awesome, really? Simon smiled, then thought of something, and said, There are many private islands currently for sale in the Bahamas. If I find a well-built private holiday island, I think it can continue to sell. I bought one before, but it still needs a construction cycle. Now I can buy one that can be moved in at any time. It's okay, just to see what the decoration style is. Ivanka guessed why Simon wanted to be in the Caribbean. The Bahamas is getting a private vacation island soon after acquiring the Miami Dolphins. Simon is sure if you're going to be in Miami for a while, the Bahamas Islands in the Caribbean Sea next to Florida are one of the perfect vacation spots. What a great place. Simon closed his eyes and thought about the location of Miami, straight into the Caribbean Sea and radiating the entire Latin American region. The huge east and west coastlines and the vast land are not only rich in resources, but also the whole America is a back garden. The geographical location of the United States is really unique. Los Angeles, New York, and Miami may be the strategic priorities of Simon in the future, and San Francisco should be added soon. The powerful Silicon Valley industry cannot be avoided. Miami Dolphins, have you figured out how to run it? Ivanka suddenly asked. Rugby's more popular than basketball management? Simon was stunned for a moment, then smiled. I don't have time to participate. I will definitely choose the NBA Nets. What Simon didn't say is that his favorite is actually football, the Premier League. I'll be here soon. Chapter 269 Too Dazzling. In the evening, the dazzling Los Angeles also has a different view. On Sunset Boulevard leading to Beverly Hills, Simon Parker, driving a black Lamborghini sports car, of course, has no interest in the night scene of Los Angeles passing through Beverly Hills to Venice, a seaside town close to the Pacific coast. For this replica of the Italian water city Venice, in addition to beaches and canals, it is more famous for its street performers. Venice, located west of Los Angeles, does not have the arrogance of Beverly Hills, nor the wildness of West Hollywood, but a touch of humanism and laziness. The sports car was parked at the entrance of a private club on the Central Avenue of Venice. Simon looked at Ivanka in the co-pilot and said with a smile, fortunately, unlike Venice in Italy, the city is full of canals. There are a lot of canals over there, but Wayne Whitson invited us here because he likes this town. Ivanka shrugged indifferently. Anyway, she has always lived in New York and New York on the East Coast. Miami, not very familiar with the West Coast side. Simon unfastened his seat belt, just smiled casually, and said, I thought I could go directly to the NFL headquarters in Manhattan to sign the acquisition contract. Is he the only one meeting tonight? Anyway, he is the majority shareholder of the Miami Dolphins, so he can decide. It's not bad to have a formal talk with you, Ivanka said and got out of the car with Simon. When Simon and Ivanka entered a room in the clubhouse, there was NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell in addition to Wayne Whitson. Good evening, Simon, Ivanka. In the four major sports leagues in the United States, football is well-deserved first, followed by baseball, basketball and ice hockey, and football is not the top four. But when it comes to overseas promotion, rugby's not even better than basketball, not even baseball. However, with the strong spending power of the United States, as long as the local audience is guaranteed, the NFL is still a well-deserved overlord. However, with the successful effect of the NBA's overseas promotion, as the most profitable football, it is quite difficult to promote. Roger Goodell is of course committed to promoting the NFL around the world, and Simon Pike, who has a huge influence in Hollywood, holds Xinghai Entertainment and is undoubtedly a good intermediary. Although the bosses in the NFL have many film and television companies, none of them are as famous as Xinghai Entertainment. Most of them are small independent film and television companies or studios that have invested in films. It was almost 12 midnight when Simon and Ivanka left Venice and returned to Beverly Hills. Simon, in his pajamas, was half leaning on the bed, thinking about Wayne Whitsenga's offer, which the Miami Dolphins and Dolphins Stadium would cost $1.1 billion to acquire. Stephen Rose's Vornado Realty is paying $100 million for the venue around the blossoming stadium, which means Simon himself has to pay $1 billion. It hurts. Simon thought, and touched his nose. Of course, $1 billion can be taken out. Is it worth it? Well, what are you thinking? Worried about the NFL overseas promotion plans and strategies proposed by Mr. Roger Goodson? Ivanka said as she came out of the bathroom in her luxurious sexy silk pajamas. The plump bust and better figure reflected in Simon's eyes. Ivanka walked to the bed and sat down. Simon shook his head and said, I'm not worrying about this. The NFL has been promoting overseas for many years, and currently there are only some achievements in the UK. Roger Goodson is just jealous of the NBA's overseas influence, especially when the Rockets signed Yao Ming with the #1 pick, which caused the NBA's influence in China to grow exponentially. Look at the attention of the Rockets and how much they have received. The popularity of Chinese capital is known, and Roger Goodson also wants to enter the Chinese market. Simon said indifferently, the sport of rugby cannot attract Chinese people, and basically it has a huge influence in North America. Ivanka took a pillow and leaned halfway on it, thinking, what do you think about the NFL's overseas promotion? Well, no idea. It's enough to keep the popularity and profitability in the local area. As for overseas, it depends on luck. Simon's focus will definitely not be on the NFL. Roger Goodson's idea is still his own. To promote it slowly, $1 billion, is it really decided? Ivanka said, leaning over and rubbing Simon's body with her hands. Simon nodded. Owning an NFL team greatly improved his status, not only for economic considerations, but also for political and family heritage. Although he was a little distressed about the money, Simon nodded and said, I will arrange for someone to take over the Miami Dolphins as soon as possible, and I will go to the NFL headquarters in Manhattan in person. Saying that, Ivanka wrote on Simon's body. The pajamas slowly slipped off, and she lowered her head to kiss Simon, who was lying on the bed, put one hand on the girl's head, and looked at the ceiling with his eyes, and seemed to remember what Wayne Whitsenga said, "You are too dazzling now. Especially in Hollywood and Wall Street." Indeed, making money in the past 2 years is a bit crazy of course. Simon knows the virtues of capitalists, and it seems that he should pay more attention to the challenges from all sides for the Miami Dolphins. Wayne Whitsenga currently needs cash flow, and Simon also wants to have it as soon as possible, so as not to dream too much soon. A deal was announced for the NFL team, the Miami Dolphins. Nine Birds Sports and Entertainment acquired the Miami Dolphins Stadium and surrounding venues for $1.1 billion. The acquisition of more than $1 billion is a record acquisition in the current NFL league. A lot of people seem to have a new idea that Simon Pike is ready to transition into sports entertainment. Take a look at the Brooklyn Stadium in New York, which is currently under construction. The Nets will move to the bustling New York in the second half of next year. The nine-headed Bird Sports and Entertainment Fund already owns a team in the NFL and NBA, so will the future targets be baseball, MLB, and ice hockey, NHL, or, how about learning from some of the richest Americans to enter Europe and acquire a European football club? After all, Simon Parker has said more than once that he prefers football. Some people may say that the MLS is also developing now, and even David Beckham has joined the Los Angeles Bank. However, given the current influence of the MLS, it will certainly not attract Simon's attention under the financial turmoil. Simon, who poured out a lot of money, has also become a talking point for the people. Chapter 270 Hollywood Rules. The Oscars are in late February, but the nominees are announced in late January. 3 films, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, The Life and Death, and Slumdog Millionaire, co-produced or distributed by Xinghai Entertainment, were shortlisted for Best Films. Especially Slumdog Millionaire has won the Golden Globe Award for Best Drama Movie, and it is not impossible to win the Oscar for Best Picture in any case. Although Xinghai Entertainment is currently developing in the direction of a group, in the eyes of many people, it is still an independent film company that focuses on film production. After all, it takes time to perfect the distribution system, and although Xinghai Entertainment currently has a well-received Xinjiang record company, it does not have its own TV network. There are not as many main businesses as the Big Six in Hollywood. In essence, Xinghai Entertainment currently mainly relies on high-quality film and TV production to expand its influence. Xinghai Entertainment has always been Simon's own key business, but it seems that the new young rich man has been paying more and more attention to sports recently. The Nets, which had already spent huge sums of money on the acquisition of the NBA league, are now acquiring the NFL's Dolphins. Non-stop in the morning, at the entrance of the Hollywood Paramount Studios headquarters, several cars parked safely at the entrance of the quaint and thick golden-arched Bronson Gate. Hollywood mogul Summer Redstone, who is 86 years old this year, got out of the car on crutches, accompanied by his assistants. Take a look at the Bronson Gate, which has a long history and was built in 1926. As one of the two major symbols of Paramount, the other symbol is the snowy mountains and stars on the Paramount Pictures logo. The famous Bronson Gate has become not only one of the symbols of Paramount, but also a classic landmark of Hollywood symbols. Go in. Although Summer Redstone is 86 years old this year, he is still in good health. Summer Redstone specially came to Paramount headquarters today, surrounded by his most trusted assistant Philip Dorman, the current CEO of the new Viacom Group. Since Summer Redstone split the Viacom Group into the new Viacom Group and CBS Group in 2006, the importance of Paramount Pictures Group has increased. The new Viacom Group includes Paramount Pictures, MTV Television, Nickelodeon Children's Television and other parts. Tom Freston, the chairman of MTV Television Group, was originally the CEO of the new Viacom Group, but Tom Freston had some disagreements with Summer Redstone after the acquisition of DreamWorks and was removed from the position. Philip Dorman, a veteran lawyer who has followed Summer Redstone for many years, became the group's CEO, and Tom Freston returned to helm MTV in a small conference room at Paramount Pictures Group headquarters. Summer Redstone and Philip Dorman are in a meeting with Paramount CEO Brad Grey and President Gail Boardman. We shouldn't give up the movie distribution contract with Marvel Entertainment. The box office of Iron Man is very high, and Xinghai Pictures will release Thor this year. According to their plan, there will be projects in the next few years, said Philip Dorman. Unhappy with Paramount's blunder, Brad Grey and Gail Boardman were very helpless, because they had asked their boss Tom Freston for instructions, and they didn't pay attention. Okay, forget it if you miss it. Summer Redstone knocked on the floor and glanced at a few people. Now Paramount and DreamWorks have parted ways. Fortunately, we still have the distribution rights of DreamWorks Animation. What big plans does Paramount have next? Summer Redstone knows all, if not all, of Viacom Group's high-level struggle for power and how many opportunities and resources were wasted. At least part of it. We have several big releases coming out this year. Transformers 2 and Star Trek 11 are in the summer, and the toy-based Special Forces, Rise of the Cobra is also coming out this year. Gail Boardman was in charge of the production and responded quickly. Needless to say, Transformers 2, even if Paramount and DreamWorks parted ways, this series also bites the joint development agreement, and the Star Trek series is one of the few ace series that Paramount has. As for Special Forces, The Rise of the Cobra, it is also a popular toy adaptation, and it is also a Hasbro toy series. Summer Redstone nodded and said, some of the projects we have previously cooperated with DreamWorks will also continue, but in film production, we still need to strengthen Paramount. Last year, we withdrew from the overseas distribution network that we previously cooperated with Universal Pictures. And the resource allocation of the joint international film industry is almost complete. Although distribution is important, the content is the foundation of the film. Now that there is no DreamWorks, I don't want Paramount to go back to the way it was back then. You should be responsible for your own work. Summer Redstone looked at Brad Gray and said, Brad reminded us before that we should establish long-term cooperative relationships with certain directors and actors, which I agree with. At the same time, cooperation with other film production companies can't be put down. What do you think about Xinghai Pictures? Brad Gray smiled helplessly. Currently, the movies produced by Xinghai Pictures are simply delicious. Simon spent a lot of money to set up a distribution network in North America. Now they are developing overseas. In the joint development of movies, they take the initiative. After all, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button can be regarded as a successful film. Although it is a three-way cooperation, it is mainly produced by Simon Pike's Xinghai Pictures, and at that time, they did not have their own distribution. Simon Pike. Summer Redstone frowned. This young man is really not easy. Last year he made too much money on Wall Street. Not only is his vision accurate in movies, but he is also willing to invest. I heard that he is very interested in sports now. However, he just recently bought the Miami Dolphins from Wayne Wisenga for over $1 billion in cash, explained Philip Dorman, who also previously owned Blockbuster. Shareholder, Paramount bought Blockbuster later, and he also joined Viacom's board of directors until Paramount reorganized and split Blockbuster, and he still has some Viacom shares in his hands. Well, Summer Redstone didn't want to say more. This young junior is indeed powerful, but in terms of foundation, it is still much worse. Before you said that Tom Cruise gave us an olive branch. Tropic Thunder was also good at the box office last year, and DreamWorks brokered it, and he was willing to sacrifice his image. So you also follow the rules of Hollywood. Paramount does not will be hostile to those who help. Summer Redstone publicly criticized Tom Cruise after the release of Mission Impossible 3, so much that he parted ways with Tom Cruise, who has worked with him for more than 10 years. In recent years, the topic of Tom Cruise has been constant, and he is also trying to change his impression. Summer Redstone, one of the powerhouses in Hollywood, will not remember that little thing. The Hollywood rule is that you can bring in profits and capital will support you. Brad Gray nodded, saying this, it also cleared the obstacles for Paramount to continue to cooperate with Tom Cruise in the future. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 271. Enough now. The poor performance of Paramount in recent years is the biggest reason why Summer Redstone has increased his attention to Paramount as a traditional Hollywood film studio. Paramount has a huge influence, which is why Viacom Group spent huge sums of money to acquire Paramount. Summer Redstone, who believes in content is king, is very fond of film production. As the locomotive of brand output, film is very important to the development of the group. It was noon when Summer Redstone and Philip Dorman left Paramount headquarters. MTV's success. Tom's ability is good. His previous idea was to attract the attention of young people, and theaters also like the release of movies that are popular with young people. Summer Redstone said of Tom Freistaten, who is in the new Viacom Group CEO position for less than 3 years, returned to managing MTV. MTV's performance has always been good, and the focus is indeed on young people. Philip Dorman, As the direct descendant of Summer Redstone, understands the boss's mind very well. Power. The entire Viacom group has been fighting for power too seriously in the past few years. The old and frail Summer Redstone did not let go of power, and he fought a lawsuit with almost all his relatives. Paramount is an important asset of our Viacom group. Needless to say, the importance of Xinghe Entertainment is indeed developing rapidly. Summer Redstone can only admit that it is smaller than the one he took over from his father. The industry has grown to the large entertainment group it is today. Simon Pike's establishment of Xinghe Entertainment from scratch seems to be even more commendable. At that time, the distribution contract with Marvel Entertainment was not signed, which is indeed a big loss for us, but we currently have the live version of Transformers and the distribution rights of DreamWorks Animation, which should occupy a certain market share. Yes, Philip Dorman said, looking at Summer Redstone's unchanging expression, and continued, Star Trek is also a trump card of Paramount. This restart, I believe there will be unexpected results. The innovation of content is not enough. At present, other film companies seem to have their own series of hits. We at Paramount have relied on DreamWorks to turn around in the past few years. Summer Redstone was obviously dissatisfied, not because of poor grades. How can you spend huge sums of money on the acquisition of DreamWorks? In content production, we must increase investment. Summer Redstone said decisively. Understood, Mr. Redstone, I will focus on Paramount's business with Mr. Brad Gray. Philip Dorman's car is not film and television entertainment, but as the helm of the new Viacom, of course understand Paramount's place in Summer Redstone's heart. And Tom Cruise, don't need to target anymore, and now he is also trying to restore his image. Paramount has worked with him for many years before, and the Mission Impossible series is also a successful series. His influence is still worth investing in Hollywood, said Summer Redstone, who is too old now and can no longer devote himself to the front line of film and television as he did when he was young. Now he can only increase his attention to Paramount and let the Ramon truly became the locomotive of his own entertainment business. By the way, I heard from Brad in the last few days that he has been in contact with the heads of several major studios such as Warner Brothers and Disney, Philip Dorman said. With a slight smile on his face, Xinghe Entertainment, it seems that it needs to be contained. It's really time to stop it. The box office market and awards and honors, the share of Xinghe Entertainment is getting bigger and bigger, and the glorious DreamWorks back then failed to succeed. Now Simon Parker wants to challenge the authority of the six majors. It's time to suffer. Summer Redstone is a standard capitalist. Isn't it a normal operation to develop himself and contain his opponents? Oscars jury network, media film critic resources, public opinion news orientation. Hollywood needs to learn a lot, but there is a lot. Summer Redstone closed his eyes and started to sleep. Philip Dorman just nodded to himself and said nothing. The pie in the movie market is currently so big. If you eat too much without a strong foundation, you will definitely offend other competitors. Simon Parker certainly doesn't doubt that he will be targeted, but he doesn't know that he will be strongly concerned by Summer Redstone, the top tycoon in Hollywood. However, at the moment Simon Pike is immersed in the excitement of acquiring the Miami Dolphins, after all, a club in the NFL league. Everyone knows that the current NFL league is composed of the NFC, National Football Federation, and the AFC, American Football Association, each with 4 teams in each of the 4 regions of the East, West, North and South. As a result, the NFL has a total of 32 teams, and the annual championship matchup of the AFFC is the famous Super Bowl in the United States. The Miami Dolphins are one of 4 teams in the AFC East that won the Super Bowl twice in 1972 and 1973. Of course, the acquisition of an NFL team will not be so fast, but Simon's nine-headed bird sports acquisition of the Miami Dolphins has also been confirmed, only the signature behind. However, the management and management rights of the Miami Dolphins have already begun to be handed over. After all, the NFL draft at the end of April is also a big event just in time for this year's Super Bowl. The finals will also be held at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, a seaport city on the west coast of Florida. The two sides are Pittsburgh Steelers, AFC, and Arizona Cardinals, NFC. More than 70,000 people poured into the Raymond James Stadium on the night of 1.31, and the whole stadium was full of people. Simon Parker in casual clothes and Ivanka sat in her seat and enjoyed the American Spring Festival gala game. I heard that Los Angeles has been hoping to reintroduce an NFL team since the Rams moved out. Why has it been unsuccessful? Ivanka asked. The second largest city in the United States does not have a football team, which makes no sense. Venue and human factors. It is difficult for the surrounding communities in Los Angeles to find a site to renovate or rebuild the stadium, and many rich people in Los Angeles are not local, and they feel that the sport of football is too barbaric and does not conform to the rich and noble momentum, Simon also said. I don't know the specific reasons, but the market is definitely not bad. The current St. Louis Rams were in Los Angeles before 1980, haha, this is a waste of this big market. Ivanka didn't care, and continued to laugh. You'd love to have a team in your hometown, right? One is in Miami, the other is coming to New York soon, and if LA has another, forget it, I don't have that ability. If there is a team, Los Angeles is always my home base for Zinghe Entertainment. Simon said disdainfully, he couldn't force it anyway, Miami and New York were probably enough. Chapter 272 The most important year. This year's Super Bowl champion was the Pittsburgh Steelers from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and the MVP was Steelers wide receiver Holmes for the famous players of the NFL League. Simon is also impressed by Tom Brady, who has won the Super Bowl MVP twice in the New England Patriots. However, Simon knows that this guy will win 3 more MVPs in the future, and the older he gets, the better it seems. After returning from Tampa to his Palm Beach mansion in West Palm Beach, Simone checked the New England Patriots and Tom Brady. However, Tom Brady seems to be still recovering from injury, and his contract with the New England Patriots has not expired. Even if they poach people, the New England Patriots will not agree. The Washington Redskins, Dallas Cowboys and New England Patriots, plus the Pittsburgh Steelers and San Francisco 49ers, the Miami Dolphins are indeed somewhat lacking compared to these tycoons. How many days are you staying here? The season is over, you just took over, so there shouldn't be much action, Ivanka asked boredly, leaning against Simon's arms in silk pajamas. I won't stay for a few days. I have already talked to the team president Tom Garfunkel. He is a professional talent in terms of management and operation of the team, Simon said. When chasing players, provide more financial support at present. I have asked Tom to find the title sponsor of the stadium, and the Dolphin Stadium should be renamed again. Tom Garfunkel is still very involved in the commercial operation of sports and entertainment, and the sponsorship of the Dolphin Stadium should be able to get a good price this time. I heard that you have Shakira as one of the partners of the Miami Dolphins. It's a good idea. She has an extraordinary influence in Latin America. There are more than 1/3 of Latinos in Miami, Ivanka said. Originally born in a business family, he is of course familiar with the publicity effect. The season is over, and the players should have a good rest. Simon should return to Los Angeles as soon as possible, and the Hollywood cake division should be discussed on the table. Simon returned to Los Angeles after less than a week in Miami, while Ivanka returned to New York at the same time. In the White House, the new president also signed a $787 billion immediate plan to revitalize the economy in February, which will revitalize the economy and provide employment opportunities by reducing taxes, expanding public construction and social welfare, and subsidizing local governments. Along with the economic situation, various currencies such as the US dollar, British pound, Japanese yen, and Korean won continue to depreciate. Some people are happy and some are sad. Simon Pike, who just bought the Miami Dolphins, is certainly the kind of person who is happy because this year's Oscars ceremony is coming. Simon stayed in Zinghe Entertainment honestly, and did not plan to run around like before. I was thinking about how to make fun of Disney, but I received news that Disney was preparing to shoot Pirates of the Caribbean 4. Sure enough, it's a good IP, and it's about to restart. Simon smiled, not too impressed. After all, if it is released, it will be at least a year after Jerry Bruckheimer is helping Disney with Prince of Persia, The Blade of Time and The Sorcerer's Apprentice right now, so Pirates of the Caribbean 4 will have to wait another year, Nina said. Jacobson, of course, thoroughly researched his competitors, and continued. Miramax has not been as brilliant as it used to be since the Weinstein brothers left. Touchstone Pictures has also performed well in the past few years. Disney's live-action movies are currently produced by live-action adaptations of novels, animations or games. Simon knocked on the table. The Sorcerer's Apprentice and Prince of Persia, The Blade of Time. These 2 films must be enough for Disney to drink apart next year. Robert Iger is not easy. Look at the purchase price he offered to our Marvel. Most people can't resist it. It's $5 billion. Simon was speechless. For a film, he dared to open $1 billion. This courage is really unusual. Robert Iger's pattern is bigger than Michael Eisner's. Disneyland and the resort's revenue is the big one. It's definitely not as good as Michael Eisner's vision in live-action movies, Nina Yaa said. Cobson is, of course, familiar with Michael Eisner, the monarch who has carried Disney to the next level for 2 decades. After all, Michael Eisner is the figure who brought Disney back to life, the helmsman from animated films to live-action films, and Touchstone Pictures was founded by Michael Eisner to develop self-made live-action films. Disney Animation, Pixar, and only DreamWorks Animation can compare to him in animated feature films, Simon said. Every time he saw the Disney Animation Channel's children's stories and the various toys sold in the Disney store, his heart was very itchy. Can our first animated feature film be released next year? Simon seems to be a little bit lacking in the Xinghai animation department managed by Chris Miller-Danley. After all, the predecessor was also Alighting Entertainment. It cost a lot of money. It's time to see the real thing, right? Well, the first animated feature film will be released next year, and Despicable Me will be released next summer, Nina Jacobson explained, then laughed. Also, the Minion toy you put in the company was also put into the movie by director Chris Miller-Danley, and he likes your idea. Next summer, there are also Minions. That's good. Simon nodded. Animation movies attract children. The magic weapon of the family, the follow-up consumer goods market, is also immeasurable. It has lost at the starting line and has to catch up after Nina Jacobson left the office. Simon recalled that Disney's 2 next years, The Sorcerer's Apprentice and Prince of Persia, The Blade of Time, were big failures, but next year, Disney's live-action adaptation of Alice in Wonderland is set to shine. Let Disney increase the development of live-action versions of early children's animation stories. For this company that holds countless classic animation IPs, it will be hard to win for a while. Simon shook his head. To fight against Disney, a stable and influential playground IP is indeed needed now that Disney is bent on acquiring its own Marvel. It seems that plans for Disneyland in China have also slowed down. Oh, I have to step up. This year is the most important year, Simon said to himself. Chapter 273. A Bond. In Los Angeles in February, the temperature during the day is almost 20 degrees Celsius, and the warm sunshine makes people very comfortable. In a coffee shop 2 blocks from Xinghai Entertainment's headquarters in Burbank, Los Angeles, Simon was chatting with Jamie Timon, the CEO of Bank Xinghai Entertainment's current assets are all excellent. Our bank believes that if Xinghai Entertainment issues group bonds, it will be very popular, especially Marvel, whose valuation is very high, Jamie Timon said. This time, I specially met Simon, in addition to the title of the Brooklyn Stadium under construction, and the undertaking to help Xinghai Entertainment issue $1 billion of corporate bonds, although also thinks that it can help Xinghai Entertainment distribute more. After all, the films and televisions produced by Xinghai Entertainment are really popular and can attract investors to enter. Currently it's almost $1 billion, and the company still has some cash flow. It's just that there are more movies to be released this year, so we need a lot of capital, Simon explained. After all, if a larger amount of bonds is issued, it is impossible to just let a bank undertakes, at least the size of 2 or 3, or more. Jamie Dimon smiled and nodded casually. If there is a need in the future, our bank will be very willing to continue to cooperate with Xinghai Group. Simon nodded and said with a smile, our cooperation will not be less in the future, and after the second half of next year, the Center Gymnasium in Brooklyn, New York will be put into use. Right, happy cooperation. Jamie Timon smiled and shook hands with Simon. After Jamie Timon left, Simon looked up just in time to see the results of the Madoff fraud trial playing on the TV in front of the store. Bernard Madoff was tried, pleaded guilty to 11 felony charges related to securities fraud, money laundering, and forgery of documents, and was sentenced to 150 years in prison. The court also issued a $170 billion forfeiture bill. Simon watched for a while, and thought about Jamie Timon's expression before, which seemed to have a hint of melancholy. So it was Bernard Madoff's fund account was opened at the bank. There must be some involvement. After a while, Joe Lixon, the head of the Asian branch of Xinghai International Pictures, came in and sat opposite Simon. The weather in Los Angeles is really good. Whether it's Beijing or Shanghai, it's much colder than this, Joe Lixon said with a smile. Hong Kong isn't so cold, right? I'm here to play for a while, as a vacation, Simon said with a smile. Joe Lixon shook his head and said seriously, the investment of Tai Chi is huge, and all the preparations must be done well. Mr. Joe has brought some staff to San Francisco to make the final preparations for the shooting. The combination of Stephen Chow and Anne Hathaway can still be expected, said Joe Lixon, who is responsible and excited for the production of a $60 million Chinese hero movie. Well, it's good to have confidence. We try our best to make good movies, and I believe fans will surprise us. Simon felt a little calm. After all, although the investment is large, the investment in the Asian region is also acceptable. By the way, Miss Tong didn't come with me this time, Jolixin said and smiled at Simon. Understood. This time is our opportunity to enter the Chinese region, and it is also an opportunity for Chinese films to enter the world. In any case, it is a win-win choice. Simon said, leaning back on the chair, a little lazy. By the way, how is the economic situation over there now? Now the world's economy is in a downturn, and the big market environment is not good. Jolixin shook his head and said with a wry smile, it's not good either. Now with a reduction of foreign trade, the domestic economy is only boosting the internal economy through infrastructure anyway. There's a market demand of more than 1 billion people, and the recovery is slightly faster than some other countries. By the way, there are several IMAX giant screen theaters under construction over there. Is the plan still the same? Is the investment a bit too big? Jolixin is a little hesitant about spending a lot of money to build 3D theaters, mainly 3D movies that are produced every year. Not much. No. James Cameron. His masterpiece Avatar, which he has been preparing for 4 years, is about to be released. Many people are looking forward to this huge sci-fi blockbuster. The IMAX version must be a different feeling, Simon said. Smiled. The viewing experience of special effects blockbusters on the giant screen is different. Avatar, of course I know, and the famous James Cameron is indeed worth looking forward to. Jolixin has been immersed in the film industry for many years, and of course he has his own film judgment ability. Don't worry, you should prepare for Tai Chi first. For the current investment in the Chinese market, the future income will be unimaginable, Simon said, standing up and preparing to leave the coffee shop. Then I'm going to go to San Francisco to join the team. I hope there won't be any accidents. Jolixin also plans to resume work after a few days of rest. Well, remember to pay attention to all kinds of information about Disney and Shanghai, China's new Disneyland, Simon reminded before leaving. After leaving the cafe, Simon went directly back to Beverly Hills. It seems that Anne Hathaway is currently in Los Angeles and should meet. Anne Hathaway, who wears a pair of dark slacks with a white shirt and a trench coat, is quite attractive. From Princess Diaries to The Queen Wears Prada, Anne Hathaway is indeed smooth sailing, and her popularity remains high. Per year there are 2 films released. This year, there is Thor. At present, Alice in Wonderland is being filmed, and Tai Chi is about to be filmed. Let's go to Disneyland in Anaheim tomorrow, Simon, who was half lying on the sofa with Anne Hathaway in his arms, suddenly said. Disneyland in Anaheim, California is Disney's first park. Anaheim is about 40 kilometers southeast of Los Angeles, and the park is only an hour's drive from Los Angeles. Disneyland? Anne Hathaway smiled. Why did you suddenly have this idea? Simon rubbed the girl's chest and said casually, I just want to see if Disneyland is really attractive. I want to see how many tourists are there this year. Okay, I'm very familiar. We will drive there tomorrow morning, and we can play at least one day. Anne Hathaway also debuted as a Disney princess, and is really familiar with Disneyland. Simon is now envious of Disneyland and Universal Studios, which are the main movie parks and holiday consumption areas, and Disney's culture seems to have long been deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. Without beating Disneyland, the Disney Group will always have this cash cow to produce milk. Chapter 274. More than live-action movies. Disneyland Resort in Anaheim is currently the largest integrated resort playground in the world. At 9 o'clock in the morning, Simon and Anne Hathaway arrived at Disney in casual attire under the leadership of Anne Hathaway, who debuted as a Disney princess. I experienced several Disney play projects. The Disneyland Adventure Zone in Anaheim is a section that Disney spent a lot of money to expand a few years ago, and it is also a very attractive area for tourists. Simon got out of the car as the roller coaster whizzed by and Anne Hathaway screamed, shaking her head. She was a little dizzy. The excited Anne Hathaway was holding Simon's arm and asked with a smile, is it very exciting? It's okay. Simon's heart was still pounding. It still doesn't seem suitable for this kind of gameplay. It's almost noon. Let's go to the restaurant over New Orleans Square to have something to eat, Anne Hathaway said, and walked in that direction with Simon. This year's economic crisis seems to have a lot of impact on this kind of theme park amusement park, and there are far fewer tourists than in previous years, Simon said, wiping his mouth after eating the last steak. It should be. Anne Hathaway also nodded and said again, but there is no more attractive themed play facilities here. Just like the pirate ship facilities of the Pirates of the Caribbean a few years ago. Well, maybe. Simon saw the attractive things in the park or the things represented by early Disney animations, as well as various Pixar cartoon characters. Disney's ideas are indeed not much novel in content. Robert Iger is thinking about acquiring Marvel this year, and he is also aiming to enrich the content. Simon played at Disney for a day. I have to say that the Disney store sells a lot of Disney-related products, toys, figures, character models, puzzles, games, etc. The downstream development is very good. Channels and brands are Disney's biggest guarantees in the consumer goods market, and Zinghe Entertainment has a long way to go in the future. At night, Simon rolled over from Anne Hathaway and hugged the girl to feel the warmth after exercise. You were nominated for the Best Actress award for Sister's Wedding? Simon asked suddenly. The whole person leaned against Simon's Anne Hathaway and nodded. The opponent is also very strong. Angelina Jolie's The Change of the Child, Melissa Leo's Frozen River, Meryl Streep's Child of Your Stout, and Kate Winslet's The Reader. I also lack confidence. Well, anyway, the awards will be awarded at the end of the month, and the result will be known at that time. Simon didn't want to hit Anne Hathaway. After all, the other performances were indeed better than Anne Hathaway. Hey, Viola Davis and Emily Blunt in Child of Your Stout are both nominated for Best Supporting Actress. Emily will be more confident, Anne Hathaway joked. How, both of them have been nominated for Best Supporting Actress in a movie, and they were split. Emily's hopes are slim, Simon said, patting the girl's back. However, this year's economic environment is so bad, the Oscars at the end of the month should not have the luxury of previous years, and there will not be so many red carpet stars participating. Simon changed the subject. Anne Hathaway quickly raised her head and responded, yes, this year, I am afraid that brands will reduce their sponsorship, especially clothing brands. I heard that because the sales are not very good, many small stars' clothing sponsorships have been cut. It's not bad. This year, many film companies have cut film production funds, so that producers will be more cautious when planning films, which is also very helpful for the quality of the film. Simon doesn't matter anyway. After all, Zinghe Entertainment is very proud from its release last year to the present. Slumdog Millionaire has never had a large number of theaters. Fortunately, the box office has continued to flow, and it has won the Golden Globe Award. Now it has been nominated for the Oscar for Best Picture. Wave advertised nearly 3 months after its release. The North American box office of Slumdog Millionaire is about to exceed $100 million. This low-cost film with an investment of only $15 million has indeed made Venus Pictures a hit. The double bonus of box office and word of mouth also makes certain film labels such as Zinghe Kaixing and Jiguang Pictures more confident. Especially the explosion of Iron Man made Zinghe Pictures excited. After all, this is only the first character developed by Marvel Pictures, and he has more than 5,000 characters. Lighting Entertainment Studio, now Zinghe Animation Company, is producing the first self-made 3D animated feature film, Despicable Me. The Zinghe Animation Department has its own special building, just north of the Zinghe Entertainment headquarters building complex. Simon has been busy with live-action movies before, but he can't ignore the cake of animation movies. In the downstream market of consumer goods, animation toys are the real main force. Looking at the various animated character models placed in the hall, Simon smiled because he found the Minions. Now that the movie has not been released, no one knows how popular the Minions will be in the future, except for Simon, of course. Is this the one the boss put in the office before? Laura Collins, who accompanied Simon, patted the enlarged version of the Minions with her hands curiously. Well, that's the one. Doesn't it look cute? I believe it will easily attract the attention of children. Simon smiled, as if seeing the scene of the Minions occupying various toy cities in the future. Subsequently, Simon met with director duo Pierre Coffin and Chris Ronard and had Chris Miller-Dandley, among others. According to the current progress, we can finish it in the middle of the year, and it will be released in the summer of next year, which is a good schedule, explained Chris Miller-Dandley, because he previously ran the animation department of 20th Century Fox and the famous Blue Sky work. The room is the subordinate studio. Therefore, it seems very confident. Don't worry, I have confidence in you. Now it is said that the animation industry is dominated by Pixar, DreamWorks Animation and Blue Sky Studios, but Sony Animation, Paramount Animation, etc. are all catching up. Of course we can't fall behind. Simon patted Chris Miller-Dandley on the shoulder and entered the conference room with several people. The release of animated films will have a series of promotional activities, and then a series of animated character model toys will be authorized. With the influence of animation, Chris Miller-Dandley's experience is something that Zinghe Entertainment needs very much. And Xinghai Entertainment also has great support for the animation department. In order to also gain some achievements in animation feature films, Xinghai Pictures not only develops live-action movies, but also gets involved in 3D animated feature films, which will also cause a sensation. Chapter 275 Relax. In Beverly Hills, Simon is sitting on the sofa in the observation room on the second floor of his hilltop mansion, enjoying the night view of Los Angeles. After a while, Emily Blunt walked in her pajamas and looked at Simon in a trance. With a bottle of unsealed red wine on the table beside her, he smiled and approached. Is the night view of Los Angeles beautiful? Well, it's okay. It's not as good as San Francisco. Simon shook his head and continued, the night scene of many cities is like this, and there is nothing special about Los Angeles. Emily Blunt smiled and sat on Simon's body intimately. One of the three characters in Doubt of Child Abuse was nominated for the Oscar for Best Actress, and the other two were nominated for Best Actress. Supporting Actor Award. Emily Blunt was originally just a little actor from England, and only a few movies were made. Now I'm shortlisted for the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress. Of course I'm happy. Oscar. Simon just smiled. For himself, the current Oscar is just a situation of earning fame, and the Oscar Award's ability to attract money to movies is getting weaker and weaker, and its importance is not as important as before. A bad film with a good box office is much better than a low box office literary film that won an Oscar. Of course, the Oscar Awards are definitely very attractive to many movie actors or practitioners, and Simon certainly will not discourage Emily Blunt's enthusiasm. I heard that you stuttered a bit before. How did you get on the path of becoming an actor? Simon changed the subject. It's like, because I suffered from a severe stutter as a child, I took acting as a cure. I started out doing some stage plays with a British Northern accent. After entering Hertwood High School, I chose the acting class and started to perform, and then an agent contacted me. I had a lot of stage performance experience before entering university, and then I began to receive some small roles in the UK, I said. Millie Blunt said, looking at Simon again, and said softly, it is thanks to the debut of The Queen Wears Prada that it can develop here in Hollywood. This time, the role of child abuse suspect is also your escort. I really have to thank you so much that I was able to integrate into Hollywood so quickly. It's you who are talented and work very hard. I didn't do anything, Simon said, patted the girl on the shoulder, and continued to explain, the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress is a performance award anyway. It's still important. It's not bad to be shortlisted this time. It's everyone's affirmation of your performance. After Simon finished speaking, he lowered his head and kissed Emily Blunt. After all, the two hadn't seen each other for a while. At the end of the kiss, Emily Blunt seemed to have nothing to do, but Simon smiled. Are you busy this year? This year, I have already made 2 big-budget films. One is the fantasy film Gulliver's Travels adapted from the novel by 20th Century Fox, and the other is the old film Wolfman remade by Universal Pictures. Emily Blunt responded. Gulliver's Travels? Simon thought for a while. Emily Blunt was originally thought by Kevin Feige to play the role of Black Widow in Iron Man 2, but Simon still felt that the role of Black Widow fits Scarlett Johansson, and Emily Blunt is the future Captain Marvel. When I was filming The Devil Wears Prada, the publisher, 20th Century Fox, had a bundle with me. So Gulliver's Travels was the film I was going to make, Emily said. Blunt explained it turns out that Jack Black is the protagonist of Gulliver's Travels. Although your role is the heroine, the role should be similar. Simon certainly knew that this was a bad movie, but it also invested over 100 million yuan. Dollar blockbuster. The absolute protagonist is also comedy star Jack Black. Universal is starting to fry itself again. Last year, The Mummy 3 was just released and the reputation of Van Helsing was not good. Now it has moved out Wolfman, but the investments should not be too big. Simon laughed casually. After all, in this year's situation, Universal Pictures will be careful to use funds, and it really won't invest too much money in the remake of the old version of this monster movie. Oh, is that so? The films I made last year were mainly British films, and the investment scale was very small. Now these two are commercial films produced by big film companies. Will they fail? Emily Blunt wondered. Don't worry, whether you fail or not, this is not a resource. As long as the word of mouth won't be messed up by then, it won't do much damage to your image, Simon comforted. Blunt's importance is low. That's good. I actually still like to shoot some literary films now, so I can hone my acting skills better, Emily Blunt said without waiting for Simon to speak, and took the initiative to stop Simon's mouth. I'm very happy today. We should just relax. The girl flirted between kisses. Well, how should I relax? Simon seemed to be directly pressed by the girl's body on the sofa alone. Emily Blunt smiled at Simon, looked at the red wine next to her, and took a sip from the bottle. Then, when Simon thought the girl would continue to kiss her, Emily Blunt fell to her knees. The pajamas were lifted, and the alternating hot and cold stimulated Simon's brain. And the night scene of Los Angeles outside the window was even more obvious at the moment. So beautiful. After a while, Simon released his hands on the girl's head after shaking for a while, and let out a few breaths. Darling, you are awesome, Simon said as she saw the girl standing up and wiping the corners of her mouth. Well, alright, I'm going to take another shower now, and we'll have an early night off, Emily Blunt said, and walked away in a messy pajamas. Simon shook his head. Emily Blunt usually looks cool, unexpectedly interesting, not bad woman. It seems that he has helped Emily Blunt make a small-budget movie, Sunshine Cleaning, and recommended Child of Your Stout, but has not planned much for her future. As for the Marvel character that belongs to her, it's all in the future, and even the role of Black Widow was given to Scarlett Johansson, who is currently married. Time to think about it, Simon murmured. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.